Carl, thank you. It is a gorgeous late afternoon here in Anaheim as we get set for a matchup of two contenders in the American League West, featuring some of the best players in the game today. The first place Rangers, led by the big bats of Josh Hamilton and Adrian Beltre, try to add to their 6-game division lead against the second place Angels, who have surged back into the postseason discussion with rookie phenom Mike Trout providing the spark. Let's take a look at the highlights already from this weekend series. Friday night, Jared Weaver gutted it out through 7 innings, giving up an earned run on 6 hits, picked up win number 12 on the season, and the power was provided by the dynamic duo of Mark Trumbo and Mike Trout. Each of them homering. The Angels go on to beat the Rangers Friday night 6-1. Yesterday, the Rangers turned to answer. Yu Darvish, 7 innings, 2 runs, 11 strikeouts, and the Rangers exploded for 5 runs on 3 home runs in the second inning. Mike Napoli, Yorvik Torrealba, Adrian Beltre all homering that inning as the Rangers would go on to win 9-2 and even up the series at a win apiece. So what does this all mean in the standings? Texas still on top in the American League West, 6 games up on the Angels, who have some company. The Oakland A's just beat the New York Yankees again, beat them in extra innings. They swept the 4-game series. They're tied for second, and they're right in the hunt in the wild card race as well. Hi, everybody. Dan Schulman along with Oral Hershiser and Terry Francona. This is a good matchup, an important ball game. Let's start with the Texas Rangers. A great record, a pretty healthy lead, but it's still been kind of an up-and-down season for them with some injuries and inconsistency, and a guy they'd love to get turned around is Josh Hamilton.
Josh Hamilton started out the year with a Triple Crown aspirations. His statistics told us that. But early on in April and May, that's turned the page now, and in June and July, it has started to be sluggish. Josh Hamilton needs to start to be more disciplined. He can't be swinging at all the pitches. The league has figured out he's a fantastic hitter. The league has figured out the home runs are at the top. The RBIs are near the top, but they're not going to throw him strikes. And until he gets more discipline, it's going to be very hard for him to produce at those early levels because he's not getting strikes.
The Angels have had a very interesting season. They started the year 6-14. They weren't hitting at all. But then in late April, Mike Trout came up to the big leagues. Mark Trumbo started hitting, got a regular playing time. Albert Pujols came to life in May, and all of a sudden the Angels found themselves back in contention. You've read about him. You've heard about him. What do you think about Mike Trout?
Mike Trout is something special. I mean, he's been talked about among the best rookies in all of baseball. I think you need to start throwing out the word rookie and talk about all the players in baseball. This is the kid that can beat you in every facet of the game. Hits the ball out of the ballpark. He can steal a base. He's a very good base runner. He can catch the ball in the outfield. And on top of that, he's humble.
Just 20 years of age, a legitimate MVP candidate having a sensational season. A big key for the Angels over the last couple of months is tonight's starting pitcher, Dan Haren. He's coming off the DL tonight. Missed the last couple of weeks with lower back inflammation, and we'll get a look at him tonight. First, though, let's go down to the field. Mark Trumbo is with Buster Olney.
Mark, this year your batting average has increased 50 points. Your slugging percentage has gone up 150 points. Why the big jump for you this year?
I think by and large it's just a little better pitch selection. Taking more pitches than I did last year, been a little less aggressive at times, but because of that I think I've narrowed my focus and I'm getting pitches I can drive.
Now your teammate Mike Trout, the talk of baseball, how would you put into words what you've seen this year?
I think it's really tough. He's a complete 5-tool player with ability absolutely off the charts. The only thing that might be better is his makeup. Super positive, brings incredible energy, and he's been a tremendous addition to our ball club.
Mark, thanks. Dan, back to you.
Buster, thank you. Mark Trumbo, Mike Trout, such big keys for the Angels. And as we mentioned, Dan Haren figures to be as well. Jared Weaver, C.J. Wilson need a little help anchoring that Angel rotation down the stretch if the Angels are to make the postseason this year. Haren will face a lineup that has had success against him, and a lineup that, when they're going well, is as potent as any lineup in all of baseball. The Rangers and Angels coming up.
sometimes forget that there's another team in LA. Just a quick drive down the 5. With the deepest baseball roots in California and some of the game's most exciting players, it's easy to remember. Los Angeles is the city of angels.
Sunday night baseball on a gorgeous night from Angel Stadium of Anaheim, the home of the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. 6 games back of the Texas Rangers for top spot in the American League West. You can join our companion broadcast at ESPN.com's Gamecast for advanced statistics and interact with Buster Olney on Twitter at Buster_ESPN and hashtag SNB. You can also like us on Facebook at Facebook.com/ESPN Baseball Tonight. Third and final game of the series. Ron Washington got his exercise in early today. 10 laps around the field in the blazing heat mid-afternoon. He is ready to roll as we take a look at his lineup tonight, presented by Taco Bell. Always a dangerous lineup, even with a couple of guys struggling, such as Josh Hamilton. 6 for his last 40, but thanks to what he did the first couple of months, still some great overall numbers on the season. Adrian Beltre, he is hot right now, hitting .364 in his last 30 games, and he has wrecked Dan Haren over the years. Mike Napoli, since the Angels traded him away, has demolished Angel pitching, including 2 home runs yesterday. On the mound tonight, just back off the DL, right-hander Dan Haren.
First time on the DL, has battled some back problems for about 5 years, but finally it got to the point the inflammation shut him down. The Angels need him back to duo up and with C.J. Wilson and Mr. Weaver.
Ready for baseball, late afternoon start on the West Coast, and you know what that means. The shadows will have an impact on the early innings of tonight's game. Paul Emmel is our home plate umpire tonight. Haren is ready, and we are underway. A strike taken by the leadoff man for the Rangers, second baseman Ian Kinsler. Kinsler has some pop. He'll take some walks. And as Ron Washington said a couple of times to us before the game, he can cross the dish. He scores runs. He gets on base a lot, and with the guys hitting behind him, he has scored 67 runs already this year, second in the American League to Mike Trout.
And I think what Ron Washington was saying, and probably the only way he can, is that despite Ian Kinsler not having quite the numbers he's had the past few years, he still manages to find ways to score runs. And in the leadoff position, that's his job.
Just off the outside corner, 2 balls and 2 strikes on Kinsler. Haren 16 wins last year, and some back trouble that caused him to pitch poorly before he went on the DL. Just back off the DL, the first time he has been on the disabled list in his big league career. And a chopper over the mound. Kendrick, the second baseman, on to first in time, 1 down. Defensively for the Angels, there is no better outfield trio in the game today than Trout at left, Peter Borges in center, Torrey Hunter is in right. On the infield, with Eric Ibar out tonight, fouled a ball off his toe last night, very sore. Meiser Izturis will get a start at shortstop tonight. And behind the plate tonight, it'll be Bobby Wilson. Chris Ionetta's on the DL, will go out on rehab tomorrow. So Wilson, along with John Hester, getting some time for the Angels behind the plate. 1 down, and here's Elvis Andrus. And the Rangers shortstop will take a strike. Andrus hitting .292 on the season. He's got some speed. And a bit of a late call, but a strike call from Paul Emmel. It is 0-2. Haren slotting in right now behind Jared Weaver and C.J. Wilson. Both of them all-stars this year. Both have done an exceptional job. There's Weaver, picked up a win on Friday night. But the middle to back end of that Angel rotation, a little bit suspect right now. Haren being healthy would be a big boost for this team.
That was a split finger right there at 86 miles an hour. Mike Scioscia, though, has probably seen some good news already with the radar gun registering 90 miles an hour for Haren. That back has hurt his location. It's been up most of the time, but it's also hurt his velocity. His velocity had dropped down to about 87, 88 miles an hour, and that little bit hurts a big league pitcher.
Ooh, up and in, and got a piece of Andrews.
Dan Haren has a slight delay at the top of his motion, coming with a fastball in here. This one he just kind of lets go a little early. You see the little pause, and then looking for that extension, how he gets out over that front leg, shows how healthy that back is. And you see this ball ride up, and that ain't a lot of fun, and really fortunate to have it hit the elbow instead of somewhere up around his head.
So man at first with one out for the Rangers, and here's Josh Hamilton. Hamilton was over 400 well into the month of May. Now here he is in late July, down to 298. Ron Washington says he's just being way too aggressive, chasing first pitches out of the zone, making it easier on the pitchers. Andrews a threat, 16 steals, and he'll draw a throw.
And as Orr was talking about with Dan Haren, he likes to come up to that balance point and pause. But with Elvis Andrews on first, he's not going to be able to do that. The first time he picks that leg up and doesn't slide step, Andrews is going to take off and try to steal second.
He's been caught 6 times on the season, being held on by Pujols. And the pitch to Hamilton there for a strike. There you go, talking about him being overly aggressive, but the first pitch comes in for a strike, and he takes it. Very unusual for Josh Hamilton.
He's been very aggressive early in the year. The first 2 months when he's putting up all the stats, he was owning the inner half of the plate. The league started to go away, and as he kept swinging, they just walked him right off the edge of the plate.
Out in front, and it's 0-2.
He's going to have to force the league to start throwing him strikes, especially in the first 2 pitches of the count. He could sit in a 2-0 count in a lot of nights if he would just be patient.
You know, he was so hot the first 2 months, and he was swinging at everything, but he was hitting everything. And I think it, as we all have seen in a long year, things tend to even out, and a guy that swings at that many pitches is going to go into an extended slump.
Haren trying to keep Andrews honest over at first, staying in the stretch for a long time before time is eventually called. One on, one out, just underway in the top of the first inning here in Anaheim. Josh Hamilton at the plate facing Dan Haren in the rubber match of this 3-game series. Runner not going, and the 0-2 hit weakly toward third, charged by Callaspo. They'll get the out on Hamilton. Andrews to second, 2 down. And that'll bring up a guy always dangerous, a guy you managed in Boston for a time, Tito. Adrian Beltre having another great year with the bat, with the glove, just a terrific all-around player.
And he's such an important part of this offense because if teams want to pitch around Josh Hamilton, you want them to pay for it, and Adrian Beltre has made them do that. He's really swinging the bat well.
And he's hitting .436 in his career against Dan Haren, leading the way for a team that's hitting over .330 as a group. This group in the lineup tonight is hitting better than .330 collectively against Haren in their careers. Beltre 24 of 55 against Haren. Just down and in, ball 1.
I think people forget because Danny Haren's been out on the disabled list. He's one, for whatever reason, he's one of the best kept secrets in baseball. He's a really good starting pitcher.
He's been a 3-time All-Star, 07, 08, and 09, and he has a streak of 7 years in a row where he's gone 215 innings or more. Never been the real big 20-game winner, but always been a really solid number 2 in a rotation and been very, very durable until this first stint on the DL this year.
How much of an adjustment is an Oral when your 92 is now 88? You have to learn to live with that.
Well, the good thing for Dan, he's always had great off-speed stuff. That split finger of his, he's got a cut fastball and a curveball. but he's always been a pitcher and worried about location prior to the velocity. So as the velocity declines, he already has that mentality of how to get people out.
And checking all the way, Beltre will look at a strike.
We saw him in 2004, and by we I mean the Red Sox, when he was pitching for St. Louis in the World Series, and he was coming out of the bullpen at the time. And we were so impressed with his stuff, especially against left-handed hitters, because he had that split finger.
Just outside, and he walks him. So the Rangers with runners at first and second for 2 down.
That ball was awfully close. Danny Haren brought this ball from the left-hand batter's box and brings it all the way back. And maybe the shadows, but that's a good sign. The elevation on that pitch was a little up, and that's what they worry about coming off that back problem, the problem he had prior, but he had the location on the corner.
So Andrews at second, to Beltre at first, 2 down. Here's Michael Young. Young on the season, not really having his typical year, hitting .268. Also another guy who's got very good numbers against Haren in his career, .327. What do you guys see from Young?
When Michael Young's going well, he's able to hit the ball to right field, and he can do it with 2 strikes, or he can do it, up in the count. Right now, he's jumpy. He's run into a period where he's hitting some balls at people, and he's trying to do too much.
Play on at second, and back in safely is Andrews.
Sometimes it's hard to trust yourself when you line out to right field. You think it's not good enough, when really you got to try to stay in that mode and just repeat it. That's a lot easier said than done.
It's a lot easier when you're younger, and as you get older and people don't trust that you still have the ability, maybe you try too hard at first. 14 seasons, most of them with 200 hits. He knows how to hit. He knows how to get out of slumps. It's just continuing to trust yourself as you age. Don't feel that same strength all the time.
You see the batting average down. The slugging is down. Even more, down 100 points from his career norms.
And when we talk about guys in the game of baseball, you talk about Derek Jeter, guys that have earned the ultimate amount of respect among their peers. This guy's name is right at the top of the list.
Exactly.
He'll DH a lot, but he's been playing a lot of first base lately with Mitch Moreland on the DL for the Rangers. As Haren misses down and away, 2 balls and a strike. And Haren's really been his own worst enemy so far this inning. He hit Elvis Andrus on a 1-2 pitch, and then he walked Adriana Beltre. And he's not formally on a pitch count, this being his first start off the DL. You would expect maybe 90 to 100. All that Mike Scioscia would say is it's not like he's going 115 or anything like that.
A couple real good bullpen sessions in 1 rehab game at 5 innings.
2-2.
But once you get back up to the big leagues, I don't care how long you've pitched here, how comfortable you are when you're in your game. When you first get back, the speed of the game, having a big league hitter up there, triple-decker stadium again, you just have to deal with the nerves and the game again and get your legs back under you.
It's a tough lineup to do that again. You better get your legs under you in a hurry against the Rangers, huh? And a full count now. Close pitch, but Young takes it. And the runners will be on the move on this 3-2 pitch. It's Mike Scioscia. The old catcher says, where's that pitch? And he and the umpire, Paul Emmel, are into it. Emmel said outside. Scioscia said, okay.
And again, the dugouts are getting the same view we do. Everybody has monitors back in the back now, and the guys come up that aren't playing and are relaying, hey, that ball was missed.
Runners go, 3-2 fouled off, and we'll do it all over again.
Well, Haren had the reaction, Danny, out there on the mound, that was a strike in his mind, and he probably felt squeezed a little bit with Adrian Beltre standing over there first. And so backing up his pitcher. But then after that pitch, the reaction was, oh, man, really?
Again, the 3-2. And Young fights it off out of play into the upper deck. And again, the pitch count continues to climb for Haren, who doesn't figure to get all that deep into the game anyway, just coming off the DL. Mr. Hershiser's best friend. The 5 o'clock local start on the West Coast.
Don't you like him? Don't you just love him?
As Terry breaks into a cold sweat.
Thank goodness I didn't play most of the time until about 7:45.
And a swing and a miss to get Young and end the inning. A long inning, but the Rangers don't score. Leave a couple of men on. Here he comes. 20-year-old phenom Mike Trout will lead it off for the Angels when we come back. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball is presented by Taco Bell. Sometimes you gotta live Moss. And in part by Ram Trucks. Guts. Glory. Ram. Shots of the Orange County Fair. That's the zipper, Tito. What do you think? You in?
I think that if I did that, I would live way too Moss. That's what I think.
Yeah, I hear that. Here we go for the bottom of the first. The Angels coming up in the scoreless game. Let's take a look at the Angels starting lineup right now. Brought to you by Taco Bell. They have lost 6 of 9, but had a real hot streak before that to get back into contention. And obviously Mike Trout leading the way. Leading the American League in batting average, stolen bases, runs scored, in spite of the fact he didn't come up until late April. Albert Pujols didn't start hitting until May the 9th, and he's been typical Albert ever since then. And Mark Trumbo kind of overshadowed to a certain extent. 27 home runs, and he leads the American League in slugging percentage. Matt Harrison, the left-hander, on the mound for the Rangers. And he misses inside. Ball 1 to Trout. Harrison, an all-star this year, a 12-game winner already, coming off a shutout in his last start. That was at Seattle. And Trout laces it foul down the left field line. And you can hear every time he swings the bat how excited people are about what he has been doing. Still a few weeks shy of his 21st birthday. A chance to win a batting title. Theoretically, a chance to win an MVP, playing as well as anybody in a baseball right now. You saw that note from Elias, and you said this earlier tonight, Tito. It's time to stop comparing Trout to rookies and 20-year-olds. It's time to start comparing him to everybody.
And what a pleasure this kid is. He sat down with me yesterday. It was a day game after night game. We probably asked him questions for 20 minutes, and I forgot one at the end. He got up to leave. He got all unwired, realized we need to put it. He got rewired, answered it with a smile. I mean, you won't want to adopt him.
Slicing it toward right field. Extra bases for Trout, and look at the speed. Into third without a throw.
Okay, now, this is not a triple. This is your ordinary garden variety double, and he outruns any chance for a relay throw from Ian Kinsler. He comes out of the box, and he knows it's a triple, but I don't think there's anybody else in the league watch this. Right here, this is a double, and he completely outruns the cutoff.
His 5th triple of the season. That will tie him for the American League lead in that department.
Look how far he started that head first slide from third. You have to be running awfully fast to slide that far.
Now Torrey Hunter, the batter. So a runner at third with nobody out for Hunter. Talk about a guy landing in a good spot. When the Angels juggled their lineup a little bit, Trout became a regular hitting leadoff. Pujols got hot hitting third, and Torrey Hunter sliding right in between him in the 2 spot. The count 0-2.
We're going to look at young Mike Trout's swing right here. Everybody's trying to figure out what he can't hit. One thing we do know he can hit is the ball down.
Yeah, on the ball down, he's hitting .411. That's number 1 in the big leagues. In the bottom third of the strike zone, across the board, in, middle, and out. .411.
We all get carried away in this game, especially when young kids come up, whether it be spring training or September. And with this kid, I don't think you can get carried away. I mean, all he has to do is stay healthy and play, because there's nothing he can't do.
Did he go? Yes, he did. Hunter strikes out. So runner at third, 1 out. Here comes Albert Pujols. And, probably Pujols was destined to start hitting eventually, obviously, when you look at what he's done over the last 11 years. But he was so off his game early. And so many things happened at about the same time, within a couple of weeks for the Angels. Trout called up late April. Pujols started hitting well early May. A strike taken. I mean, remember when we saw Mike Scioscia early in the season? You've known him for years, Earl. I mean, he was down. There were some tough times early for this team.
They ended up having to fire one of his good friends, the hitting coach, Mickey Hatcher.
Pujols lashes the ball into left field corner. It'll skip up into the seats. A ground rule double to cash in Trout and give the Angels a 1-0 lead.
Well, when Albert was in his slump, he was chasing a lot of pitches, and then when he got a pitch to hit, he wasn't putting the good part of the bat on it. Here, he gets a high fastball, kind of on the inner half, really inside corner off the plate, gets the head out, and doesn't pop it up quick enough with the hips and the hands to get on top of that ball and hit a solid line drive. Early in the year, we'd see him popping that ball up to shortstop. Now he's squaring it up.
RBI number 58 for Pujols. Mike Trout just scored a run in his 14th consecutive game. That's an all-time Angels record and an American League rookie record. Now Mark Trumbo sharply hit up the middle, but Kinsler is there, well positioned defensively to make the play. 2 down, Pujols to third. And we've seen right here in the first inning, it's a ball down the other way, great speed, triple, comes in to score. First round pick. The only question I have, how were 24 guys taken ahead of this guy in the draft in 2009?
And how about what Ron Washington said? He said this kid hasn't gone off and had one of those games against us yet where he completely dominates the game.
He's gotten a few hits, scored a few runs, but he really hasn't had the 4 for 5, score 3 runs, steal 3 bags kind of game yet. Track a ball in the gap and shut down a rally. But those are capable games in that young man's future and in his past already.
Angels up 1-0 in the bottom of the first. Runner at third, 2 down. Howie Kendrick is the batter. Kendrick, the second baseman, hitting .273. It's really been the likes of Trout, Trumbo, and Pujols, largely, not entirely, but largely carrying the Angels offensively over the last couple of months, as we've got a beach ball on the field, something we'll see here often in Southern California.
And when the Angels play the Rangers, every game is so big. Because of the way the wild card is configured this year, winning the division is so much more important. So when they play head up, I mean, they about have to win every series.
Rangers by 6 over the Angels and the Oakland A's right now in the American League West. How about Oakland? They've won 14 out of 16. They beat the Yankees again today, sweeping a 4-game series. All 4 wins were by 1 run. They beat them 2-1, 3-2, 4-3, and 5-4 in that 4-game series. The A's and Angels are tied in the West and in the wild card race.
And I know I'm really biased. Kurt Young, the pitching coach there, who was a pitching coach in Boston last year, took a lot of flack at some times. Good for Kurt. He's got that pitching staff clicking on all cylinders.
Bounced in 2-2. The A's are leading the American League in ERA, and it's not even close. 3.38 entering the game today. Tampa Bay and Texas both started the day at 3.69.
What's amazing about that, Oakland is a good pitcher's ballpark. But for Texas to have that ERA is actually pretty amazing, because that is some kind of place to hit.
Tampa Bay's a pretty good place to hit, too.
Fouled off by Kendrick. Carl mentioned just before the game there were 9 sweeps over the weekend, including Oakland over the Yankees. Baltimore swept Cleveland. Toronto swept Boston. Detroit moved into first yesterday, swept the White Sox.
Watch out for the Tigers. They're starting to get it all together now. Their starting pitching's coming together.
Slow roller to short, and the inning is over. But a run in for the Angels, and it was Mike Trout figuring prominently into it. Led off the game with a triple, scored on a double by Pujols. Angels lead 1-0 at the end of 1. Top of the second here in Anaheim. Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN, with the Angels leading the Rangers 1-0. Dan Haren on the mound for the Angels. Stake to an early 1-run lead, facing Nelson Cruz. The Rangers right fielder looks at a strike. Cruz not really swinging the bat like he did last year. Just 11 home runs, only 2 in his last 38 games. And this is a guy who last year looked like at any moment, guys, I mean, he could get on a tear, regular season or postseason, and be as dangerous as anybody.
And in the playoffs, Ron Washington was pretty prophetic when he said, I'm going to stick him in there because he can win a game for you. And that's exactly what he did.
And it is strike 3 called.
Well, Dan Haren looks very healthy with the back. That ball's a little elevated, but think about shifting your weight from one leg to the other and doing a trunk twist in between, and knowing that you have to throw the ball 90 miles an hour. He raises the leg, puts the weight back on the back leg, And then as he comes forward, he's going to drop all that weight onto the front leg, plus do a trunk twist, separate the shoulders and the shoulders and the hips. And that puts a lot of torque, a lot of pressure on your back. And that's what drove him to the DL for the first time in 5 years. That separation, now you're like walking a tightrope, and you're coming down and you're going to separate the hips and the shoulders.
David Murphy with a ground ball to short, 2 down. How do you feel, Oral, about the hesitation that Haren has? We see it. It's fairly common amongst Japanese pitchers. You don't see that many American pitchers who have a distinct stop right in the middle of their motion.
Yeah, that's his gathering point. He really kind of takes inventory of all the parts right there. I'm sure that's the thing that has made him very, very consistent. I'm not a big fan of it because you have to be able to restart your engine towards home plate by not breaking down your back leg. But he does a good job staying tall and still keeping his momentum towards the plate.
2 down, nobody on. Mike Napoli heard some boos as he came to the plate. Napoli, the former Angel, traded to Toronto prior to last season in the Vernon Wells deal, and then just a few days later flipped in a deal to Texas. Had a great year last year, not having nearly as good a season this year, except when he plays against his old team. He is demolishing Angel pitching.
He's hitting .500 against the Angels this year and .206 in all other at-bats that are not against the Halos.
Checks the swing. He went 3 for 4 Friday, and then he homered in each of his first 2 at-bats yesterday.
But you talk about a guy, we talked about this with Cruz, that Ron Washington pencils him in because they can win a game. Well, he can get hot and win a game for you. And this lineup has those kind of explosive bats throughout.
And even though his offensive numbers are off pace, when you have the ability to hit him 8th because your lineup is so good, you can afford to be patient with a guy like Mike Napoli.
Full count. Haren had to throw a lot of pitches in the first inning. Gets the first 2 outs here in the second. Full count now on Napoli. And Napoli fouls it off to stay alive. Napoli hit 2 of the 5 home runs that Texas hit yesterday. They had hit only 10 in their previous 16 games. Hard to believe that the Rangers in the month of July have scored the fewest runs of any team in baseball with the explosive bats and all the talent and the pedigree that they have in this lineup. But other than yesterday, they've really been scuffling a little bit. Napoli draws the walk after Haren had him 0-2. Now, the one thing you know, if you're the Rangers or if you're the next team on the Rangers schedule, Tito, it's not going to last forever. They're going to get hot.
They've been a little bit streaky, especially post All-Star break. But they're still formidable, and you just don't want to be that team they break out against.
What's impressive is they can struggle with the bats for 3 weeks. They can have 4 or 5 pitchers wind up on the DL, and they're 6 games up in their division. That's how good they are. That's how deep they are. Here's Torrealba. He homered yesterday as well.
Really 2 teams in baseball thinking about the postseason for sure, and that's the Yankees and the Rangers. And if the Rangers add something, I think it's going to be a quality starting pitcher. I think John Daniels, their general manager, Ron Washington, there's Yu Darvish, really done a great job since coming over from the East.
Torrealba with a fly ball to right field. Hunter back, glasses down, inning over. Haren gets out of it to the bottom of the second. Angels up a run. Bottom of the second on this beautiful night at Angels Stadium. The Angels and Rangers. The Angels leading 1-0 as Alberto Callaspo, the third baseman for the Angels, looks at a strike. Mike Trout tripled. Albert Pujols doubled him in and out later for the run in tonight's game. Callaspo with a little flair for a base hit into right. And this is where the Angels would love to get some consistent production from the bottom of the order. You look at the top four names, big production. But, Tito, there is a bit of a drop-off. They're not going to hit a ton of home runs, but if they can manufacture some runs, that would help the Angels.
Yeah, and they have guys that switch hit. They have some guys that can run. But you're right. Once you get past Kendrick, the power severely drops off.
Here's Meiser Izturis, utility infielder, getting a start at short tonight because Eric Ibar, the normal shortstop for the Angels, fouled a ball off his right big toe yesterday. He is very sore. And it seems a little bit inconclusive at this moment, the severity of the injury. That ball is bounced fair over the head of Beltre and down the line. Callaspo around to third and Izturis into second. And filling in for the injured Ibar comes up with a double.
Well, there wasn't a hit and run, but on the mound, Matt Harrison is a strike thrower. 54% of his pitches are thrown in the zone. So with these Angel hitters who can be aggressive, Mike Scioscia not afraid to put plays on these Angel hitters, knowing you have a strike thrower on the mound, they're going to swing the bat early in the count with these speed guys that love to feast on the fastball. So don't be surprised if Scioscia makes some action at times tonight with Harrison, the strike thrower, on the mound.
Two in scoring position, nobody out here in the bottom of the second against the all-star Matt Harrison. The batter is Peter Borges, the center fielder. Not playing a whole lot the last couple of months. Ever since Trout came up, became a regular. That's really cut into Borges' playing time. He is a spectacular defensive outfielder. And he can swing the bat a little bit, but they're just having trouble finding at bats for him.
And it'll be interesting to see what approach he takes here. If he tries to hit the ball the right side, have a productive out at worst and move both runners.
Even with the bag on the corners, back up the middle. To the backstop it goes. Here comes the runner, and he will score without a throw. Callaspo in, Izturis to third, 2-0 Angels.
There was a cross-up, I think, right there. Torey Alba going out to the mound to talk to Matt Harrison as the Angels celebrate. I think they are going over the signs. The second and third here. Little slider that is coming in, and you see how Torey Alba goes for that. He was expecting that to be a fastball. The footwork there by a big league catcher does not tell you that he knew what was coming there. He was expecting to stay up, catch a high fastball, and then had to dart his hand to the left, reach for the pitch, and he would have slid over there if he'd have known he'd have called a slider.
Scored a passed ball. Now the infield will come in with just a runner at third. Nobody out, and a 1-1 count on Borges. Generally, Borges now playing against lefties. Kenry Morales will DH against righties. Trumbo's in the outfield. But against lefties, Trumbo generally moves to the DH spot. Trout moves to left, Borges into center. And Trout in left, Borges in center, Torrey Hunter in right.
That's some defense.
Hands down, right? The best.
And looking at the runner at third, it looks to me like they're going to make this ball go through unless it's a chopper where he can use his judgment.
You talked about the production of the bottom of the Angels order. Well, the thing that would make this order produce would be Mark Trumbo being able to play third base instead of DH. It would be a game changer for the talent that they have and where they could put people.
Swing and a miss, and Borges has gone one down.
They tried that at the beginning of the year. It just didn't function very well, and they still are not going to give up on that in the future.
Yeah, I believe the phrase Mike Scioscia said was they reserve the right to experiment again and see if he can play third base. But right now he's doing a pretty good job of the outfield, and he's doing a great job swinging the bat. You can see he struggled early at third base, so they kind of ended the experiment for this season at least. But they had to get him into the lineup. 27 homers, 66 RBIs on the season. Infield stays in, and Bobby Wilson will flare it over that drawn-in infield for a base hit. is Torres will score 3-0. Back to the top of the order now again for Mike Trout. If you haven't seen him, here's what people love about him. He is leading the American League in batting as a 20-year-old. He's leading All-American League rookies in home runs, leading the league in steals, and he's stolen 22 in a row since he was last caught. And with the speed, the defense is sensational. The catch of the year, in the minds of most, belongs to Mike Trout. He has a chance to join Fred Lynn and Ichiro as rookies who have also won MVP. And they're chanting that now. They're used to that here in Southern California. Kobe Bryant goes to the free throw line. You hear it. You're hearing it now.
He seems so grounded when you talk to him. I mean, it doesn't seem like any of this is affecting him in the least. His teammates thoroughly enjoy him.
And the fans have got his back, don't they?
I mean, you never want to see anybody get hit anywhere, but that's a good pitch. Make somebody move their legs and then come back with maybe something off speed. That is a really successful pitch.
As you can see, according to Elias, the only player in history, this is not rookies, this is not now, this is not 20-year-olds, this is anybody, to ever have as many hits, steals, and homers in the first 75 games of a season as Trout has.
He's got this game to finish and one more.
Right. If he hits 340 or better, and he's at 356 now, and if he gets to 20 homers, and he's at 15 now, and if he gets to 40 steals, and he's at 31 now, he will do something nobody's ever done. Nobody has ever hit 340 or better, 20 or more homers, 40 or more steals, ever. Inside a full count.
That ball was close, but Arcazone had his ball, and he faced Aroldis Chapman in the All-Star game, and he was throwing over 100, and he was taking like pitches like that right off the edge, knowing they were a ball.
Ron Washington, after he was out doing his exercise on the field today, was just about to leave the field, and some of the Angels were out working on bunting. And Washington watched Trout bunt, and he said, I don't see any weaknesses in this young man, but I saw him bunting today, and maybe that's one. He doesn't appear to be a great bunter, but everything else, according to Wash, Trout does very, very well. Three-two again. Out of play. The Angels were just 6-14 on April the 28th. Trout was called up. Remember, Vernon Wells got hurt. He's getting ready to come back in a week or two from a thumb injury. And since then, Trout, along with Trumbo, Pujols, and others, but since Trout has been in the big leagues this year, the Angels are 45-30 and have turned their season around. Ball four.
You know, if you can be impressed with a walk, that was an impressive walk. I mean, the last two pitches, the fastball in and then that one down low, to have the fastball in that he almost gets knocked down with, and then a ball away that he just spits on. But you're at a 2-2 count. You're swinging a hot bat. You're 350, and you still are disciplined throughout the at-bat. That fastball in. Now they go low and away. No, they go up and in. He fouls that ball off. You see, K-Zone said it was a strike. They go down to the other corner. We're not talking about balls down the middle of the plate. Up and in, low and in, right on the black. Foul them off, and then take one borderline and get a walk.
Mike Maddox, the pitching coach, out to the mound to talk with Matt Harrison. 8-1 with a 1.34 ERA in his last 10 starts coming to this one, but he is on the ropes early tonight here in Anaheim. You can see it's been a long time since he's given up more than 3 runs. 3 already tonight through an inning and a third. The batter, Torrey Hunter. Hunter a little over anxious tonight. Had Trout at third with nobody out in his first at bat. Chased some bad pitches, struck out.
Torrey's always been someone that could expand the strike zone in his prime, but as you get a little older, you need the ball more in the middle of the plate. He's always been a bad ball hitter and crushed those balls.
Going to be interesting to see how the Angels develop in the outfield going forward. Obviously, Trout's going to be there. Trumbo could be there, or some maybe third base, depending on how the Angels decide to play it. They like Borges. Vernon Wells is signed for 2 more years at $21 million a season. Torrey Hunter's a free agent at the end of this year, but says he would take less money to come back. He realizes the reality of the situation. Short term, they got to figure out when Vernon Wells comes back where they play him, if they play him, given the way Trout and Trumbo are playing. And long term, does Hunter figure into their plans beyond this year?
Well, one of the first things you would do is maybe want to send Mark Trumbo to winter ball, believe it or not, after a full big league season, to see if he can play third base. And I'm talking the Dominican Republic, someplace, in our day, Tito, they would do that with a young big leaguer.
Torrey Hunter barking at Paul Emmel after strike 3 call.
Borderline both ways. Borderline in, borderline slightly up.
Paul Emmel must have thought that there was a possibility this is a ball, which it was, because he left Torrey Hunter have a lot of say-so there.
And that's a good umpire to leave the player in the game on a borderline pitch like that. And maybe he did after the reaction of the strike. Ran it through his brain again and said, you know what, that probably was a ball.
Well, Paul Emmel, if you can read his lips, he kept saying, walk away. Walk away. So he didn't want to throw out Torrey Hunter. Here's Pujols now with 2 down, 2 on, 2 runs in, and a strike taken. Pujols doubled the left field in the first inning, cashing in Trout.
You can really kind of see Matt Harrison, the way he wants to work these righties. He's going change up away, fastballs up and in, and sometimes every once in a while he'll drop that curveball from the high and away window visually out of the first base batter's box into the righties. There he goes hard away, but very typical pattern for a pitcher to really try and live low and away. When the hitters get used to that, force the ball up and in, sometimes for a strike, sometimes to just change their eye.
Ball 2. When you guys look at Pujols, do you see a difference in his mechanics, or do you think he just relaxed and eventually let his ability take over after a tough first month here?
No, definitely it changed his mechanics. In 03-04, he had a leg kick where he lifted his foot off the ground, the front foot. Now all he does is lift that front heel, and it keeps his weight back.
In the hole at short, the long throw by Andrews to get him and end the inning. 2 more for the Angels. They're up 3-0. Top of the order coming up for the Rangers, including Josh Hamilton. Baseball Tonight update out of the break. All right, guys, thank you. It is up in the air in the wild card race, to say the least. The Angels are in the hunt, obviously, but you look at the A's, the White Sox, the Orioles, the Rays. The Blue Jays just moved ahead of the Red Sox after sweeping them today. Ian Kinsler, ground ball down to third, knocked down by Cayasco, and still in time for out number one. Remember, 2 teams will be wild cards in each league this year. Right now, a 3-way tie between the Angels, the Orioles, and the A's, with 4 other teams within 3.5. Pick 2 of those teams on the right side, guys. Who do you think is going to be in the postseason?
Wow.
That would be
the Angels for sure.
Still don't see how Boston doesn't win. Again, get hot. They're too talented.
You don't want to be in that group and 3.5 out in September, because somebody is winning every day.
Yeah.
Probably 3 teams are winning every day.
Or I can tell you from experience, you don't want to be in that group and be 9 up in September.
Andrews with a ground ball to short.
Is that when you get a seat next to us? We'd love to have you as many years as you want to come back.
Yeah.
If you want to go to the other place, we understand.
You guys are very kind.
Selfishly, we benefited from it.
You're very kind.
You know what, though, and we talked about a little bit in the first inning, are the Oakland A's becoming one of the best stories in baseball? We've talked about the Pirates a lot, and with good reason, and they won again today. They're 14 games over 500, but from out of nowhere, Oakland has now won 14 out of 16, just swept 4 games from the Yankees, best pitching numbers in the AL, and how serious a threat are they to make the postseason this year?
And even if we are still in the 1 wild card team, they would be a story. It's not like the rules brought them into the picture.
Hamilton with a ground ball and a quick inning for Dan Haren. 3 up, 3 down on groundouts. Needed only 6 pitches to get through the inning. Slugger Mark Trumbo will lead it off when we come back. Welcome back to ESPN Sunday Night Baseball, presented by Taco Bell. Hangar One Vodka, made right here in California, providing beautiful aerial coverage tonight from their very own blimp. Warm day, moving into evening now, and a beautiful night in Southern California. Dan Schulman, Terry Francona, Oral Hershiser, Buster Olney. Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN. The Angels up 3-0 on the Rangers, going to the bottom of the third. Cleanup hitter, DH tonight, Mark Trumbo will lead it off against Matt Harrison. Trumbo hit the ball sharply, but right at Ian Kinsler, the second baseman, his first time up. There may not be a guy in baseball who hits the ball farther on a consistent basis as Mark Trumbo does. It looks like it's such a free and easy swing, not a violent swing, and the ball's winding up halfway up the rock pile in left center field.
Yeah, for average distance of home runs, his average distance in his 15 home runs is 418 feet. There it is.
They are on in the truck tonight.
I'll tell you what,
I did.
Yeah, they didn't tell me that was coming, and boom, there it is.
Up and in.
You hearken back to the home run hitting contest in Kansas City.
Yep.
He hit a ball to the right of center field that looked like a 2-iron.
Really?
You know, off the bat, it looks like a nice swing. You know, it'll drop into the gap and hit that back wall.
Two and two on Trumbo. Kendrick and Cayaspo to follow.
And we, go back to thickening this lineup in years to come, but having him at third base would do it.
And remember, coming out of spring training, the Angels staff felt great about Mark Trumbo at third. And then in our first game here, which was their home opener, he booted a ball. He might have dropped a pop-up or made a throwing error. And from there, it kind of spiraled to the point where they thought they better move him.
Full count on Trumbo. Let's go to Buster Olney for more.
Yeah, guys, this year, the average velocity of home runs hit this year, Mark Trumbo is second in baseball, 107.5 miles per hour. Number one, Torrey Hunter, 107.7 miles per hour.
Base hit into left field.
Now, when I got that information from ESPN Stats and Information earlier today, I showed it to Torrey Hunter. He took my cell phone and went running over to Mark Trumbo, to show him those numbers. And Mark Trumbo came up to me and said, I'm convinced that Torrey Hunter got up this morning and edited all those numbers.
Trumbo aboard with a base hit. Might not have hit it 107, but
that last line drive was smoked.
Yeah.
If he gets that ball slightly up, it is that 2-iron you're talking about, Terry.
There's the hardest hitting man in baseball. Here's Howie Kendrick. And a roller to short. There's one, and on to first in time for the double play. As Tito mentioned, Mark Trumbo was a part of the home run derby, the All-Star game at Kansas City last week. Did very well, acquitted himself very well, lost in a second round swing off to Jose Bautista, who went on to the finals. But even veteran hitters are amazed at how far Mark Trumbo hits the ball. Not bad for a guy who in high school was considered a pitching prospect more than a hitting prospect. Not far from here, about 6 miles from here at Villa Park High School. 2 down, nobody on. Cayaspo is the batter.
Probably some stories going around that high school about where he hit balls.
And a swing and a miss on the big breaking ball. Harrison strikes him out, and just like that, we're at the end of 3 here in Anaheim. Top of the fourth inning, and Adriana Beltre will lead it off for the Rangers, who are down 3-0 to the Angels here on Sunday Night Baseball. The Angels winning on Friday night. The Rangers winning yesterday afternoon. Beltre with a 3-hopper right at the shortstop. Meiser is Torres, one down. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball, presented by Taco Bell, is brought to you by Adizero 5-star from Adidas. At 7.9 ounces, that makes this the lightest ever.
Would those make you fast, Tito?
Not a chance.
But comfortable.
There's a difference between comfortable and being fast.
Michael Young takes a strike. Dan Haren, his first start since coming off the DL, was in some trouble in the first inning. Hit a batter, walked a batter, got the pitch count up into the mid-20s. Has been terrific since then, though, and actually hasn't given up a hit yet to Texas.
He's been pounding the strike zone. He's been known to do that. I think it's like 12 out of 14 first pitch strikes.
You know, Earl, you talked about that pause at the top of his delivery, and as hard as it is, and maybe it stops his momentum. But I've heard a lot of hitters come back to the dugout, and they say that really messes up their timing.
A little deceptive. They don't know when their trigger is. Normal trigger for hitters a lot of times is right there at separation. Boom. When the pitcher separates his hands, or when the leg kick starts to come down, that's when they separate. But the reason I said it's usually a problem, or I'm not a big fan of it, because you're trying to find a way now to get your momentum going towards home, and a lot of pitchers fly open on the left side, or they collapse that back leg.
Scorched up the middle by Young, first hit of the night, and Haren lucky not to have been hit by that. Between innings, our Buster Olney spoke with Angel pitching coach Mike Butcher.
Mike Butcher, I saw you before you came over to talk to me. You talking with Dan Haren. What'd you say to him?
Just trying to get a nice rhythm in his delivery. You know, he's a little out of whack. You know, trying to get into a nice rhythm. It's been a while since he's been on the mound. He had a nice rehab assignment start, but just to get that game flow up here with the excitement, he's got a little bit of adrenaline going right now. So just trying to slow him down and get into a nice rhythm.
For a pitcher coming back from a back problem, what are you seeing in him so far? I'm
seeing right now he's getting through the ball a lot easier right now. His backside has been able to drive through the baseball. He's getting better extension. He's got a lot better finish on his pitches, and you know, for the most part, he's been keeping the ball down. So it's I'm just glad to see him back healthy and pain-free.
Mike, thank you.
Thank you, Buster.
Runner at first, one out of the fourth inning. Haren on the mound. Found out a play by Nelson Cruz. Let's take another look at that base hit right back up the middle off the bat of Michael Young.
You do this one, Terry. This is like a nightmare to me.
You talked about collapsing. Watch this.
Wow. Whoa. Glad he could duck that quick. That'll get him right in the back of the head because you want to turn out of the way, but unfortunately didn't catch him.
Driven to center field. Borges back, turns and watches it go. A line drive home run for Nelson Cruz, his 12th of the season. And the Rangers have cut the deficit to 1.
And this ball just caught way too much of the plate. It was up. Again, strong major league hitters don't need help elevating the ball.
Now, Mike Butcher said that Dan Haren was finishing, getting good extension, and getting the ball down, but these last two have been up and near the middle of the plate. This one now to Cruz. Mike Young scorched it. You can see both in approximately the same location, up and missed the inner half, and both scorched him. Cruz just hit his a little harder and higher for Tater.
First home run in 22 games for Nelson Cruz, his 12th on the season. And it's now Angels 3, Rangers 2. David Murphy, the batter. A ball and a strike on the left fielder who grounded out his first time up. Again, the importance of Dan Haren to the Angel cause. They know what they've got in Jared Weaver and C.J. Wilson. Irvin Santana is pitching very, very poorly right now. Did not get out of the second inning yesterday for the second time in the last 3 starts. His spot is there for now in the rotation, but it's precarious. Jerome Williams now out of the rotation. Garrett Richards will stay in the rotation. They had to take somebody out with Haren coming back. There's Santana's number yesterday, and they just don't know from start to start what they're going to get from him. He got rocked yesterday. Tough to be a legitimate contender with two great starting pitchers. Now, Richards, to his credit, is pitching very well, but he's young, and they haven't seen him in a pennant race. Santana's pitching so poorly. Haren is such an important guy right now for the Angels.
An anxious time for the Angels because you're going to be in a tight race for this second wild card, first wild card. So if you're looking at two good starters and the rest of the staff kind of battling it, you could miss the playoffs because you couldn't get your rotation in order.
Mike Butcher to the mound. You get the feeling that both of these teams are potentially in the market for a starting pitcher. Both of these teams psychologically are all in this year. The Rangers because of how close they've been the last 2 years. The Angels because of all the money they spent in the offseason. And whether it's a Hamels, a Greinke, a Garza, a Dempster. There's John Daniels, the GM of the Texas Rangers, who is here in Anaheim. Wouldn't be shocking if some of the bigger name pitchers wind up on one of these teams.
I really think the team that is for sure going to be past the one-game playoff will have more value and reach deeper into their pocket or their prospects for the whole series and possibly impact them in these one-game playoff contenders.
Well, it is nearing trade deadline time. That means it's one of the most interesting times of the year if you're Buster Olney. Buster, what do you have?
The Texas Rangers, Dan, are actually looking at the elite of the elite. They're monitoring the conversations between the Phillies and Cole Hamels. And if Hamels doesn't sign a long-term deal with the Phillies, you can bet the Rangers will try to get him. They're not worried about the cost of draft picks. They're not worried if Hamels re-signs with them. They want to get somebody who can help them get the last out. And the Angels, I think, are looking for a pitcher they can control in 2013 as well as someone that they would have for the rest of this year.
That's one of the issues. Do you go out and get a rental player when being a wild card would only guarantee you one game of the playoffs as opposed to a 3 out of 5 division series? Plus, you don't get the compensation draft picks anymore if that player leaves you as a free agent. That was part of the new collective bargaining agreement. So it's kind of altered the landscape a little bit here in late July.
And I think it's probably different for every organization.
Yeah.
I mean, for a team like Pittsburgh that hasn't been in the playoffs in how many years, maybe it is worth it for them.
Oh, and 2 the count on Mike Napoli. Fly ball to left field. Trout started back, now holds his ground and makes the catch, 2 down. ESPN's coverage of Major League Baseball continues tomorrow and Wednesday. Tomorrow at 8 Eastern, the Red Sox take on the Rangers in Arlington. And then on Wednesday night, also at 8 Eastern, it's the Dodgers and the Cardinals. SportsCenter will be seen in Los Angeles and St. Louis. Monday Night Baseball presented by USAA. Wednesday Night Baseball, both of them here on ESPN, and both games also available on the Watch ESPN app. The Dodgers won again today. They beat the Mets again, and the Cardinals won again today. They shut out the Cubs 7-0. And for the Rangers, Roy Oswalt, who was to have made the start for the Rangers tomorrow night against Boston, has been scratched with some back discomfort. Scott Feldman is going to come back out of the bullpen and start for the Rangers tomorrow. Tuesday, Colby Lewis is scheduled to start, but Oral, he's still got some issues in his forearm. He's come off the DL, had one start, still feeling it a little bit in there, and there's some concern right now about Colby Lewis.
Yeah, there's some residual stiffness in there they're concerned about. They don't want to move too fast with his arm, and both these teams battling rotation issues.
Good shot, nothing doing.
I want to go back to what Terry said. I know we have 2 outs, but quickly, that the Pittsburgh Pirates haven't been in the playoffs a long time. This whole thing about who's going to make moves at the trade deadline. And I think this is going to come down to some ownership decisions, not just managers, general managers saying what we need, but ownership saying go for it or don't go for it. Because we've both been in organizations, and once it gets to the top, that last decision, ownership really is going to make the decision. They give the recommendations of what they think. Here's an A plan, a B plan, a C plan, a present, But it's going to come down to some really cutting-edge decisions at ownership.
It's going to be interesting. And like you say, it's not just who. It's like philosophically, there's going to be a lot of differences in organizations.
And it seems like those top prospects are considered more valuable now than they've ever been. Teams do not, with rare exceptions, want to give away their top prospects. Pujols feeds Haren covering to end the inning. Well, the Rangers get a couple on one big swing of the bat. Nelson Cruz with a rocket to center field, a 2-run homer. Angels lead is down to 1 going to the bottom of the 4th. Two going to the bottom of the 4th on this warm evening here in Anaheim. Between innings, our Buster Olney with Rangers manager Ron Washington.
Ron Washington, Nelson Cruz with a home run, first one in 22 games. What did you see different in that swing than what you've been seeing the last few weeks?
Well, you know, he stayed in the big part of the field. He has the power to hit the ball out that part of the field, and as long as Nelson stay in the big part, left, center, on around, he's real good. When he try to go to left field too much, he pulls off the ball. He just happens to stay through that ball very well.
Mike Trout led off the game with a triple, later drew a walk. What have your pitchers learned about him so far in your games against the Angels?
Well, he can play, and we certainly got to make pitches. We got to pitch up right there, and anything that you give him up in the zone, that's a strike. He's gonna do what he did with it. He's a tremendous player, and we just got to ball up, and then he come up the next at bat and lay off some tough pitches.
Ron, thanks.
Meanwhile, Meiser Torres grounds out for the first out. Here in the bottom of the 4th, a 3-2 Angel lead. The crowd here tonight at Angel Stadium of Anaheim. Matt Harrison, a 12-game winner on the mound, had a rocky first and second. Got a big double play in the 3rd. That's a specialty of his. Throws the two-seamer, the sinker, gets a lot of ground balls. There's a breaking ball in for a strike to Peter Borges, who is showing bunt. Borges struck out his first time up. And another ground ball to his left. Kinsler, 2 down. How important is the sinker to Matt Harrison, Earl?
Well, it's really, really important when he has the good location, keeping the ball down, and the movement that he has, because he throws a lot of strikes. So the hitters are going to be swinging the bat, and that late movement gets those routine outs for him. Where he gets in trouble at the beginning of the season is when the ball is elevated and it straightens out on him. And that's when he really struggled early. But, boy, his last 10, 11 starts have just been superb.
Coming off a shutout in Seattle in his last start. Quickly, 2 outs here in the bottom of the 4th, and the batter is Bobby Wilson. Wilson with an RBI single his last time up. Just the 21st RBI that the Angels have gotten out of their catchers this season. Another ground ball. Kinsler to his right. And the inning is over. 3 up, 3 down, 3 ground outs. End of 4. Angels up 3-2. Top 5 in Anaheim, Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN with Oral Hershiser, Terry Francona, Buster Olney. A 3-2 lead for the Angels. Dan Haren facing Ian Kinsler to begin the inning. Kinsler's 0 for 2 on a couple of ground balls so far tonight. The 2 runs for the Rangers in the 4th on a home run by Nelson Cruz. The Angels got a run on the 1st on an RBI double by Albert Pujols, scoring Mike Trout. And then scored a run in the 2nd on a pass ball, another one on an RBI single by Bobby Wilson. Top of the order for Texas. And a strike there, 1-2 now, the count on Kinsler. Kinsler, Andrews, Hamilton for Texas here in the 5th. Rangers will go home after this game tonight, start a 3-game series with the Red Sox, then have a 3-game series with the White Sox. And then the Angels come to town for a 4-game. After tonight, still 10 games remaining between the Rangers and the Angels. Close, but no, it's a full count on Kinsler.
Starting to drive that pitch count up a little bit. Yep, 73, 74, 75, where a long inning might do him in.
Grounded to short is Torres, 1 down.
Quality little cutter right there, and he's thrown some good breaking pitches and splits today. The only time he's got hurt is when he's got the ball up, but he's got the ball going right to left. That little cutter right there, and another one out there to Mike Young, and then he's got the split finger that's been working really good to Murphy and then to Josh Hamilton. The ball that's really hurt him is that fastball up. Michael Young scorched that one, and then back. Cruz killed one after that was up. But Danny Haren, he's 21 games over 500 in his career, 3-time All-Star. When he pitches down, he's a high-quality pitcher. Right there.
A little slider over the outside corner with strike to Andrews, who's been hit by a pitch and is grounded out. You got to believe if Mike Scioscia could get 6 innings out of Haren and have him leave with a lead, he'd be thrilled. First start coming off the DL.
I think for sure they love the fact the way he threw free and easy in his rehab start for 5 innings. I think they're very pleased with what they're seeing here tonight. The velocity is a tick up for him. Pre-DL, the velocity started to go down, and that's totally related to the back issues. And then the location, we heard Mike Butcher in his interview with Buster Olney talking about extension and getting out there and getting some rhythm, and that extension is right there after the landing leg hits. Does he continue to have momentum and work over that front leg? That puts a lot of pressure on your back, and he's able to do that tonight, getting that backside through.
Two to Andrews. And a base hit into center, just kind of volleying it over the head of Kendrick into center field, bringing up Josh Hamilton. The man at first and 1 out. Hamilton is grounded out weakly to third base both times tonight. 0 for 2 tonight. 6 for his last 42. 28 homers, 78 RBIs, but the average down under 300.
But what this does is this forces Haren to throw with a slide step, and that has a chance of elevating any pitch just because of the speed of Andrews.
First pitch, swing and a miss. What's amazing about Hamilton with all the success that he's had, according to Elias, Josh Hamilton has swung and missed this year a higher percentage of the time than any hitter in baseball. He swings and misses on 36% of his swings.
Just went up.
Now when he makes contact, look out. But a lot of swings and misses for a guy still putting up some huge numbers, largely based on what he did over those first incredible 2 months that he had this year. I think his offseason, the story of his offseason, has a chance to be the most interesting story in baseball in the winter. Where will he land as a free agent? gone on 3 pitches.
Well, as a pitcher, you're back out there, the adrenaline's flowing, you come off the DL, you want to do well, and you face one of the best hitters in baseball. But what you do know as a weakness for this hitter is he likes to swing the bat. And Terry, we've talked about feasting on the aggressiveness of the hitter. When you can make something look like a strike and end up a ball, and that's what this split finger fastball does. Looks like it's going to go right down the middle and then fades to the outside corner or even off the plate. And Josh Hamilton expanding because of his great ability. He thinks he can hit anything.
2 down. Andrews leaning over at first, and Haren paid a lot of attention to him back in the first inning. Will step off to drive him back. Adrian Beltre has walked and grounded out. Texas has only stolen 2 bases as a team in their last 15 games coming into tonight. See, with 2 down here, and Ron Washington is in the mood to send Andrews.
5 for 7 success rate off of Haren this year and stolen base attempts.
Beltre with a ground ball, hitting over. To the bottom of the 5th in Anaheim. Angels 3, Rangers 2. Mike Trout taking the baseball world by storm has a chance to win a batting title as a 20-year-old. Al Kaline, one of the youngest ever to win a batting title, and he was in Cooperstown this weekend for Hall of Fame weekend, and he spoke about what he likes about Mike Trout.
He's built a lot like Mantle. I mean, he is strong, big arms, got a great face about him, big legs, and you don't see too many people that have the great speed and the great power and a great outfielder that a player like young Mike Trout.
And again, the MVP chant greets him as he comes to the plate. He struggled last year with the Angels, was up for several weeks, still not up for long enough to take away his rookie status this year. Tripled and scored in his walk tonight. Didn't break camp with the Angels this year, but again, they had a glut of players. Remember, Bobby Abreu was still with the Angels at the beginning of the season as well, but after Abreu was let go and then Wells was injured and they brought up Trout. What a different player he's been this year.
And you know, we really don't know that much about how the league wants to get him out yet because they really haven't made adjustments. They've watched that he's hitting everything, the low pitch, the high pitch, the off-speed pitch, and they really don't know how to defend him other than it's straight away. They're straight away in the outfield. They're straight away in the infield. He's got great speed. So pretty much he's using the whole field and using parts of the field that aren't even being able to be defended outside the wall.
When you use the whole field, you're going to get more hits than you're supposed to anyway. And then when you multiply that by the fact of how hard he's hitting the ball. That's why he's hitting 350.
Well, that's the part that Matt Harrison has said. There are going to be times where I'm going to have to loosen your boots, because the last at bat he came way in and kind of moved his feet, and this at bat he made him move his shoulders and his head. This is probably going to be low and away and soft. Nope, coming right back in. And with a hard slider up and in, trying to tie him up.
From what you've seen, Oral, how would you pitch him?
Well, I was a sinker curveball pitcher and from the right side, and I don't think you could start living away with him. I think he handles the ball away and low very well, so I would do a little bit like Matt Harrison, but from the right side. I'd run some balls in on his hand before I started away, and that's totally out of respect, because I like to live away with hitters first until they start creeping out there on me. Then I'd come in. But I think you immediately have to show him something on the inner half of the plate.
Looked like that's where Torrealba wanted the pitch. It looked like Harrison kind of turned him down, didn't want to throw that fastball in.
I mean, you're immediately giving him the respect of an Albert Pujols, where I don't want you to extend your arms because you're too good when you do. And that's pretty big tip of the hat for a young kid right here joining the league. He's so doggone quick in there, and he's got such a good eye. And that's one of the more intimidating things that a hitter can do against a pitcher and a catcher when he's trying to figure out how to get him out, is that when he takes those borderline pitches, and you go, okay, now where can I go to get him out?
There's not a lot of moving parts to this swing. I mean, that's a little leg load with that front leg where he lifts it up to get loaded, and then he's pretty direct to the ball.
That front
look, you got that front foot up, and then there's not much else going on there besides pure quickness and strength.
Fouls off another one, and he's about to see his 10th pitch of the at-bat.
There's a weakness. He broke his bat.
Well, if he goes on to win the most valuable player, and he is certainly in the conversation right now, he would be only the third player ever to do that. 1975, Fred Lynn did it. Won Rookie of the Year and MVP in the same season as a member of the Boston Red Sox. And then in 2001, Ichiro did it for Seattle. Mike Trout again was not called up until late April. And he fouls off another one.
Terry, you're so right about not many moving parts. He lifts that leg up. He gets his foot down in a hurry, and he doesn't just get the toe, his front foot down. He gets the whole foot down. And most hitting coaches will tell you your front foot is not down until the heel is down. You might think it's down, but it's not down until the whole foot's down.
And he draws the walk. On base for the third time tonight.
I mean, we're talking about his swing in his first at bat. He takes this ball down low, and he rifles it to right field. Lifts that leg, cocks that leg to get loaded, and look at the extension, head on the ball, against a strong front side. Look at that leg. That is such a strong front side. He hits against it, and then he's out of the box thinking 3 all the way.
And he can run a little bit. 31 steals to lead the American League. Harrison obviously well aware of that. And the Rangers will keep a close eye on him.
And Matt Harrison does a great job. He's allowed 1 stolen base all year. So this is an interesting matchup. Torrey Hunter was talking before the game how he's been so comfortable taking pitchers to allow Trout to run.
There he goes. Hit and run is on. A little chopper to second. Kinsler will make the play. We get Torrey Hunter, Trout to second.
Well, third base is easier for Mike Trout to steal than second base, because with a left-handed pitcher on the mound, he has to turn his head away from the runner at second base, which will give Trout a chance to kind of wander off a little farther and steal third. And also, he doesn't have to worry about the leg kick, whether he's coming to first or not. So Mike Scioscia putting the hit and run on, getting him to second. Don't be thinking he's going to just stand there at second base.
You can enjoy a full night of soccer coverage Wednesday on ESPN2. First at 6:30 Eastern, Liverpool FC hosts AS Roma at Fenway Park. And then at 8:30, the MLS All-Stars go toe-to-toe with one of English Premier League's top clubs, Chelsea. Major League Soccer presented by Adidas Wednesday on ESPN2, ESPN3, and also live on the Watch ESPN app. Trout at second, one out, 3-2 Angels, bottom five. Albert Pujols the batter. Pujols tonight has doubled in a run and grounded out. Trout out at second with 31 steals, as we mentioned, and he's only been caught 3 times this season. And he's on a streak now of 22 successful stolen base attempts in a row.
How do you affect a game other than something statistically? Mike Trout is doing it right now at second base. He's dividing Matt Harrison's attention between Albert and himself. And you'll watch the quick looks and the concentration that Harrison has to have on him, keeping him at second.
Off the glove of Beltre, bounces to Andrews. Pujols retired. Trout to third. So your garden variety 5-6-3 putout.
That's an interesting play.
Routine.
2 down, a man at third. Mark Trumbo is the batter. Mike Scioscia talking before the game about the improvement in Trumbo from last year, his rookie season, to this year. And he says he'll get into a 2-1 count instead of expanding the zone and going after a pitcher's pitch. He's content to take the pitch, even if it might be a strike, and wait for a better pitch for him to take, for him to have a swing in. So he's swinging at more hitters' pitches and fewer good pitchers' pitches.
That's hard to do at the major league level. I mean, to learn patience as you go.
Especially in those what you think is a for sure fastball count. You back somebody into the 2-1, the 2-0, the 3-1 count, and you expect fastball, and he was green lighting himself and swinging at a lot of balls. And that's what pitchers would say. I like to attack somebody, pitch them backwards. So I like to get into a count where they think they're going to get a fastball, but then I'm going to throw the change, I'm going to throw the slider and expand the zone. And young hitters like Mark Trumbo were expanding the zone themselves and getting themselves out.
And he apparently had a great attitude about, hey, we got Pujols, you're going to third, we might try in the outfield, you got to be prepared for anything. He handled all that very well. Popped up on the infield. Inning over. Trout gets as far as third. We're at the end of 5, still 3-2 Angels. All right, guys, thank you. Well, Mike Trout certainly exciting the fans here tonight as well. Tripled and scored in the first inning. He's also walked a couple of times. Michael Young leads off the 6th. And will take a strike. Texas down 3-2. Oh, and 2 the count on Young. Dan Haren in his first start off the DL at 85 pitches right now, so probably nearing about as far as Mike Scioscia wants him to go. Young into right field. Torrey Hunter battling the lights. Makes the catch for out number 1.
Wow, and I'll tell you, as an outfielder, that is a bad feeling. I mean, he's got a beat on this, and then it disappears on him. And he's hoping it hits leather. You talk about being in a vulnerable position.
Now Nelson Cruz, who homered his last time up. Skies one to left center, 2 down. So Haren getting a couple of quick outs, might be able to finish the inning just in case. Veteran Jason Isringhausen is up in the Angels pen.
87 pitches to here. 10 out of his 17 starts, Haren, before going on the DL, went over 100.
Here's David Murphy.
And his lowest pitch count of the year was the start right before he went on the DL. That was only 69 pitches in a 4 1/3 inning. But that back drove him to the DL. One of the more durable pitchers in the big leagues before that DL stint, his first of his career. 7 years in a row, over 215 innings.
He really wore that as a badge of honor, too. He was really proud of the fact he'd never been on the DL.
They talked about how frustrating it was to watch his team, and that is an odd feeling that first time that you miss starts, go on the DL. You don't even feel like part of the roster. It's a really odd feeling to be on a team but to be hurt. Everybody can tell, say to you, oh, you're part of the team, where you're right there with us, but it doesn't feel like it until you're back and active.
And Murphy lays off the changeup. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Fastball swung on, hit high in the air down the right field line toward the corner, but foul.
And he got a pitch up there. It just couldn't quite wait back long enough.
What's really interesting is that most of the mistakes up have been his fastball. The breaking stuff has been down, which tells you he's having really good patience, and he's getting through the ball, like Mike Butcher, the pitching coach, said. Right here, this fastball just kind of stays up and is flat. And he's probably feeling so good with his mechanics and his back that he's just kind of overthrown the fastball, but he stays with the breaking stuff, knowing that I need to keep it down to be successful. And he's had some great split fingers, some great cut fastballs that have been down with a lot of action. But the fastball's been the problem child as far as leaving the ball up.
Back to the mound. And if it's the end of the night for Dan Haren, it is a successful return from the disabled list. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball, presented by Taco Bell, is brought to you by Nissan. Innovation for today, innovation for tomorrow, innovation that excites. And the makers of One A Day Men's, the official multivitamin of Major League Baseball, specially formulated for men. Beautiful weekend here in Southern California. We're here in Anaheim, the home of the Angels. Bottom of the 6th inning with the Angels leading the Rangers 3-2 in the rubber match of this 3-game series. The Angels 6 back of Texas right now in the American League West, as are the Oakland A's, who completed a 4-game sweep of the Yankees earlier today. Left-hander Matt Harrison, a 12-game winner. On the mound for Texas, Howie Kendrick leading it off. Sends the first pitch to right field and deep. Cruz is back, and it's over his head as it lands on the warning track. And Kendrick is into second base with a leadoff double.
An eerily familiar route that we saw in the World Series.
Yeah, in Game 6, when that ball went over his head against the Cardinals and he kind of shied away from the wall. But this one really was an adventure. Kind of serpentine route here. And this is one of the harder balls outfielders have to track when it goes over their head. Remember, Torrey Hunter fought the sun and the lights earlier, but Cruz really just lost complete control of this route about midway through it. Did a good job finding it after it bounced, but prior to that.
And here's where the Angels probably try to manufacture runs. This part of the order. By that, I mean squaring to bunt or maybe trying to hit the ball to the right side.
The batter Alberto Callaspo, 1 for 2. Does not show bunt, and he sprays it foul right side. Angels had a 3-0 lead early. The Cruz home run. It got 2 back for the Rangers in the 4th. Angels trying to extend the lead now in the 6th. They are just 2 for 10 tonight as a team with runners in scoring position.
It's a situation where Mike Scioscia is not afraid to bunt and then bunt again.
He did all those things as a catcher with the Dodgers in his career. He handled the bat very well, and he's not afraid to make anybody on his team be called on to do that kind of stuff. Hit and run, bunt.
You can see Beltre in at third. Again, Callaspo does not show bunt. It's a ball and a strike on the Angel third baseman. Outfielders playing Callaspo to hit the ball the other way. Way inside, ball 2.
You see Harrison and Torrealba are working Callaspo inside, trying to make it hard for him to hit the ball the opposite way. Dan Haren heading down the tunnel, looking like he might be finished.
And right-hander Kevin Jepson, who's thrown the ball very well of late, is now up in the pen for the Angels. Well, you can see Callaspo understood what he was trying to do, hit the ball to the right side, but he got it up in the air. And that does not allow Kendrick to advance to third. Major League Baseball congratulates Barry Larkin and Ron Santo on their induction today into the National Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown as we celebrate Hall of Fame Day at all ballparks. Of course, Barry Larkin, our friend, our peer here at ESPN, great shortstop for the Cincinnati Reds. Getting into the Hall of Fame, the late Ron Santo getting in courtesy of the Veterans Committee. And also going in, Tim McCarver winning the Ford C. Frick Award for Broadcasting Excellence, and Bob Elliott of the Toronto Sun winning the Spink Award for meritorious contributions to baseball writing. Congratulations to all 4. Nolan Ryan, of course, pitched for the Angels. He's in the Hall of Fame. Rod Carew. Always a fun weekend, Hall of Fame weekend. Again, congratulations to all 4 inductees. I know a very proud day for the Larkin family. Cincinnati kid, spent his whole big league career wearing the Reds uniform.
He was a fantastic competitor with all the stats that he put up and all the great years. Golden Gloves, the Silver Sluggers. He was always a team player. He didn't mind giving in, making that productive out like we've been talking about this inning. But he still was able to accumulate all those stats and had a Hall of Fame career.
And the catch is made by Torrealba to retire his Torres 2 down. Howie Kendrick still looking lonely out at second base after that leadoff double. Activity, meanwhile, has begun now in the Texas pen. Alexi Agondo is up. He's just come off the DL after a groin injury. He's made 3 appearances, and the last one yesterday was much better than the first 2. Another key guy. Texas still sorting some things out on their pitching staff. Neftali Feliz is still on the DL. Pitched poorly in rehab yesterday, and they're concerned about Colby Lewis's forearm. Mark Lowe is on the DL. Koji Uehara is on the DL.
You just wonder if they're able to acquire a starter, do they kind of navigate Neftali Feliz back to the bullpen the last month and a half of the year and thicken out that bullpen?
Because those are the guys you need to get outs for you in October. You don't need 5 starters in October.
No,
but you might need
4.
5 relievers a game. You might need guys to get outs in the 6th inning for you on a consistent basis. Borges hits one sharply to Kinsler at second, and the inning is over. A leadoff double, but nothing more. At the end of 6 here in Anaheim, the Angels still up by a run. Welcome back to ESPN's Sunday Night Baseball, presented by Taco Bell. Hangar One Vodka, made here in California, providing aerial coverage tonight from their very own blimp high above Angel Stadium. Dan Schulman, Terry Francona, Oral Hershiser, Buster Olney. Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN. At the top of the 7th we go. The Angels up 3-2 on the Rangers, and out of the Angel bullpen comes right-hander Kevin Jepsen. Mike Napoli, the leadoff hitter for the Rangers.
Mike Scioscia raving about Kevin Jepsen throwing the ball like he did back in 09 as a young rookie pitcher, just beating up right-hand hitters.
Dan Haren, 6 innings, 2 runs in his return from the DL as the breaking ball misses inside. Right now it sets up, and they can play with the matchups a little bit based on who they want Scott Downs to face, but it shapes up right now potentially as Jepsen in the 7th, Downs in the 8th, and then Ernesto Frieri, who they picked up in a deal with San Diego in the 9th. Boy, good live fastball, 98, Tito.
And with a release point, you know, he's throwing a little bit across his body. That can't be real comfortable for a right-hander. I mean, righties are doing nothing, virtually nothing against him this year.
Getting just $1.90 on the season against him. Jepson back earlier this month after a stint down in AAA. Fastball at 97, rides up and in 2-2. Now they've got Jordan Walden on the DL as well. He was their closer at the beginning of the season. If they can get him back, even if it's in not quite as prominent a role as he was in earlier, adds some depth to the bullpen. Well, you can't make much of a better pitch than that, huh?
You're going low and away, and it's not exceptionally low, but it's exceptionally hard. And thrown across his body, as Terry said. And you just watch, that's a four-seam fastball, outside corner, 98 miles an hour. It looks easy in slow-mo. You see the driving front leg. Boy, that toe up is a lot of power pitchers, and look at the extension down the hill. By the time he releases the ball, he's probably have a drag line of about 18, 20 inches. That drag line alone is worth about 3 miles an hour of reaction time to the hitter. For every 3 miles an hour you throw the ball, that's a foot of reaction time to the hitter. So he's dragging it down there from 60 feet 6 inches to a lot closer.
Jepson now facing Yorvi Torrealba. Torrealba tosses the bat away in disgust as he pops up for out number 2. MLB.TV, baseball everywhere. Watch almost 100 live out-of-market games each week on your favorite devices. Visit MLB.TV for details. Jepson quickly recording a couple of outs here in the top of the 7th as the Angels try to protect a 1-run lead. Big game for them. They and the Oakland A's, 6 back of the Rangers in the American League West. And the Angels and A's, along with the Orioles, tied for the lead in the wild card race right now. Ian Kinsler, the batter, but a strike taken.
And as well as Jepson's throwing here, I will be very surprised if Scott Downs doesn't get up if they have to face Josh Hamilton. That would be, for me, his end point of the game.
Oh, and 2. You managed before?
And I think Mike Soch is thinking the same thing.
Thinking the same thing you are.
I just saw you text him.
Soch, get him up. Make me look smart.
Golly, that was unbelievable.
That would take a lot more than a text.
You push send right at the right moment.
You know, we were talking about Ernesto Frieri a minute ago. What a pickup by the Angels.
Yeah.
I mean, they get him from San Diego, and he goes on this scoreless inning streak, and I think he's gotten touched up for runs in 3 of his outings all year.
He started his Angel career this year with 26 1/3 scoreless innings, and he didn't give up a hit in his first 13 1/3 innings with the Angels.
Welcome to the ball club.
Yeah. Here's the keys to the 9th inning. And he and Downs have just been tremendously. We've talked a lot about Trout, Trumbo, and Pujols, and Weaver, and Wilson, but Scott Downs and Frieri as well.
Scott Downs has always been a good pitcher. The problem was trying not to pitch him too much, where it ended up getting the sore shoulder. You have to shut him down a little bit. All those years in Toronto, he went through the American League East. He always got people out.
That's saying something about the American League East, too.
3-2. Got it. A great inning for Jepson, getting the Rangers in order. 7th inning stretch in Anaheim. Mike Trout will come up batting second when we come back in the bottom of the 7th. Back in Anaheim, let's take a look now at our game track. Brought to you by Ram. A 3-2 lead for the Angels. Bottom of the 7th we go. Nelson Cruz with a 2-run homer, accounting for all the Texas offense tonight. Mike Trout has tripled and scored and been on base 3 times. Dan Haren, a successful return from the disabled list. Albert Pujols with a big RBI double in the first inning. The Angels, with a win tonight, would close to within 5 of Texas for the lead in the American League West and would have sole possession of the wild card race in the American League. South Jersey, Millville, New Jersey, to be specific and accurate, loves Mike Trout. Right near where you grew up, right?
Right near, yeah. They played his junior year, Cherry Hill East, in the Group 4A championship. And Cherry Hill East walked him 3 times intentionally, once with the bases loaded, once to put the go-ahead run to second base. That's how much respect he got, even at a very young age. Younger than 20 in the big leagues. And that area is going crazy over him. It's surreal to see him on TV, to see him on SportsCenter. They don't even text or tell each other anymore when he's going to be on, because they just be telling the whole town he's on all the time.
He's on deck right now. Bobby Wilson leading off the inning. Wilson an RBI single in the 2nd, and he grounded out in the 4th.
And you wonder if Wilson's able to get on if they go to Ogando to keep it right where it is.
High fly ball left field. Murphy racing back. It is gone. A 4-2 lead now for the Angels. We're on Washington. The manager of the Rangers is out to the mound. Bobby Wilson has ended Matt Harrison's night. They are excited in the Angel dugout as the catcher Bobby Wilson hits his first home run of the season. A high fly ball to left field to extend the Angel lead to 2. Number 1 on the season for Wilson. The Angel dugout loves it. 4-2 home team. Angels up 4-2. Mike Trout will come to the plate to face Alexi Ogando, the new pitcher for the Texas Rangers. The last pitch thrown by Matt Harrison, a high fastball that Bobby Wilson deposited in the bullpen in left field for his first home run of the season, giving the Angels a 2-run lead. And when you hit your first of the season, you get the royal treatment from your teammates until they finally give in and let you know how happy they are for you.
Nothing better than grown-ups acting like little kids.
Spoken by a man who's made a career. You're a professional at that.
We get
right?
that every day. You're up here in the booth.
You walked right into that.
I knew something was coming.
Here's Alexi Agando. What an important guy he figures to be for the Rangers the rest of the way. Missed a month with a strained groin. This is his 4th appearance since coming off the DL. And when he's on, Oral, just an overpowering arm.
Exceptional arm, and command is the only issue. Gets a little bigger spray chart because of the velocity that he throws. Don't have to be quite as pinpoint when you're 95 to 100.
Trout a good night. Tripled and scored in the 1st. Walked in the 2nd. Walked in the 5th. Fouls it off again. 1-2. Buster, what do you got?
Tito, you were talking about players being young. Keep in mind that Mike Trout is still 16 days from his 21st birthday, and after the Angels played yesterday, what did he do? He went to Magic Mountain with friends.
Nothing wrong with that.
Where were you guys at 20 in your baseball careers?
College.
You were in college.
Yeah.
Getting cut from my college team.
Really?
Using an aluminum bat.
And this guy's in the MVP conversation.
And what's scary is he might get better.
Boy, he fights off some pretty good pitches, too.
That's 97 down. I mean, right now, and again, he's 300 at-bats into his major league career, but there are no holes.
And then he takes that. So he knows the fastballs down there near the knees might be a strike, but he recognizes slider down in the same exact visual window and takes it like he knew it was coming.
Three-two. High fly ball right center. Josh Hamilton there, 1 down.
Alexi Agando has one of the best arms in the big leagues, one of the toughest right-on-right matchups that you can have as a hitter. And at the 1-2 count, fastball away 99, fastball down for barely a ball at 97, a slider in the same place, and then he just misses a 98-mile-an-hour fastball. Take your hat off to Agando. The velocity made him not square it up, but Trout, he almost misses it. I mean, what's the distance on this that he missed it? Maybe a 1/16 of an inch? The difference between a pop-up for him and a home run
is not very much.
Retired for the first time tonight. And here's Torrey Hunter. Another thing about Trout, for a young player, unusually patient. He has seen 31 pitches in his 4 plate appearances tonight. And he swings at the first pitch less than 10% of the time. Elias telling us that's the 4th lowest rate in the majors. How often do you say that about a young kid?
But it's an interesting statistic. 10% is just enough where he can lay there and ambush you every once in a while where he gets that first pitch fastball. It's a good number, but it's a rare number.
It's a little different than in contrast to Josh Hamilton, who in 3 at-bats tonight has seen all of 8 pitches.
Well, he spoke about going through the minor leagues, and I know it was a quick development, but he spoke about never swinging at the first pitch and how he felt like he hit the hole so much, and he got used to hitting down in the count, and that's what helped him shorten up his swing and hit the ball to right field.
You know, you get the feeling between Trout, Bryce Harper, Steven Strasburg, we're looking at 3 young talents who have a chance. You never know how careers are going to go on, and you almost hate to heap too much on guys too early, but you're talking about 3 guys who have a chance to be extraordinarily special players.
I told him at the end of our interview yesterday, I said, if I get the chance to meet you again in 10 years, I hope you're giving the same answers.
Hunter with a base hit through the left side.
The phrase that gets thrown around the big leagues for guys that you love to watch play are, I would buy a ticket to watch him play. And that's guys that get in here for free and make millions of dollars to play this game as an honor, and they would buy a ticket to watch Mike Trout play. And here's another one at the plate you'd buy a ticket to watch play too.
12th year now in the big leagues for Albert Pujols. 3 MVPs with St. Louis. First year with the Angels. Drove in a run on a double in the first. First pitch swinging, drives the ball deep left center. Gone! Number 18 on the season for Albert Pujols. Now with 60 RBIs, and the Angels now lead 6-2.
How amazing is it, with all the talk about Mike Trout, that Albert Pujols is allowed to quietly get to 60 RBIs and his average jumps up to 280 and moving up north of that. And he's doing it under the radar.
So it's the 20-year-old rookie taking the pressure off the 3-time MVP.
Everybody wants a part of Mike Trout right now.
And isn't Pujols' whole demeanor 180 degrees different than it was when we saw him a couple of times in April?
There's two veterans listening to the rookie describe the pitches.
You know, to Dan's point, it's funny. You know, guys make a lot of money, but they care so much about how they're doing. When we saw Albert in Texas early in the year, he kind of gave me a little wave. Today I got the big bear hug.
so the better he hits, the friendlier he is.
Yeah, I guess so.
There's Trumbo. Well, more than any other team, this team was picked preseason to be the eventual World Series champions. With the acquisitions of Pujols and C.J. Wilson, everybody was on the Angels bandwagon. Everybody jumped off in a hurry in April, and now people are starting to climb back on again.
And they do have enough time to chase Texas down, of course, and avoid the one-game playoff as they go into the playoffs, as we watch this whole pennant race, wild card race.
That would be my biggest fear if I was Anaheim right now, is having to play a one-game playoff and having something fluky happen that can happen, and you're one and done.
Base hit into right field. Trumbo 2 for 4.
Well, Albert is not missing pitches anymore. May 8th or so was the low point for his year. Hit about 190 to that point, and since then he has been lighting it up. Very Albert-esque, with some mammoth shots like this. And Trout, does he have fun? Cheering the king.
Life is good again here in Anaheim for the Angels. 45-30 since Mike Trout was called up to the big leagues. They have lost 6 of 9 out of the break. We're trying to take 2 out of 3 from the Rangers this weekend and move within 5 of the lead in the AL West. Again, with 10 more games to come between these two teams the rest of the season. The Rangers with the lead in the division. The Angels and the A's tied for second. Oakland to beat the Yankees again today. Swept a 4-game series from them. The other problem with the other dilemma that you could face as a wild card team, if you have to fight like crazy just to get there, you might get to a one-game playoff with your number 3 or number 4 starter just pitching in that game, just to get you to the division series.
I think it's going to be somebody in your top 3, because you have 2 days off after the season ends before you get to the one-game playoff. I think 1 day. Okay, 1 day off is still going to be probably top 3.
I mean, if you've gotten to that point where you're in a one-game playoff, you're probably pretty much on fumes.
And it's Johnny Holstaff, though. It's not
difficult.
just one pitcher taking the mound to go 9.
That's a difficult way to start your adventure into the playoffs.
And what if you face a David Price or somebody like that in a
Justin
in a
Verlander?
playoff, right?
If the White Sox are to overtake Detroit, and Detroit was the other team, and Verlander's day falls, that's tough duty.
It's exciting, though. It's got a lot of teams in it right now.
You're pretty much guaranteeing you're going to start the playoffs like the regular last day ended last year of the regular season.
Chaos.
Yes.
2-1, the count on Howie Kendrick.
But if your number 3 starter starts the third game before the end of the season, number 4 starter is second, number 5 starter last day of the season, you're back around no matter where.
You can find a way to do it, but
I don't think
somebody
it's
could be on short rest.
And it's going to be a guy that you would have to pitch in the playoffs anyway to go on. So I don't think it is as big a detriment to a pitching staff anyway. Yeah, it's not going to be the ace, but it's going to be 1, 2, or 3.
Runner goes, and it is fouled off as Kendrick was just trying to avoid getting hit by that pitch.
If you're going to win a World Series, you're going to need 3 solid starters the whole way anyway. You are just down to that one do-or-die game right away.
You're right, but if you have to win one game,
I know
it's hit or miss.
You're not guaranteed your ace is always going to have a great game either. I'm not marketing for a 1-game playoff. I absolutely love it, but I'm just saying it's not as do or die like, oh, you're going to have your 5th starter.
6-2 Angels. The crowd's still buzzing. 2 home runs here this inning. And a ground ball up the middle that'll get through for a base hit for Kendrick. Trumbo will stop at second. More Major League action comes your way here on ESPN tomorrow and Wednesday. Tomorrow night at 8 Eastern, you can see the Texas Rangers again. They're back home to take on the Boston Red Sox, who are coming off a sweep at the hands of the Toronto Blue Jays. Then Wednesday night at 8, the Dodgers take on the Cardinals. Monday Night Baseball presented by USAA. Wednesday Night Baseball both on ESPN and the Watch ESPN app. Ron Washington is out, and that means Alexia Gondo is out. Left-hander Robbie Ross will come into the game for the Rangers. The Angels have broken it open to a certain extent here in the 7th. Bobby Wilson homered to lead off the inning, and then Albert Pujols homered off Alexia Gondo. 6-2 Angels, and they're looking for more here in Anaheim. Welcome back to Anaheim, where Albert Pujols has hit his 18th home run of the season, a 2-run shot here in the 7th inning. Mike Trout has tripled and scored, walked a couple of times. Bobby Wilson has homered, and the Angels have scored 3 runs this inning to take a 6-2 lead over Texas. Hangar One Vodka, made right here in California, is providing aerial coverage from their very own blood tonight. And beautiful shots, beautiful night. New pitcher, left-hander Robbie Ross. What a story he has been for the Rangers. 6-0 with an ERA of 1.12. Alberto Callaspo, the batter. 2 men on, 1 out here in the bottom of the 7th, and a strike taken. Ross has had a sensational season. Look at those numbers. And you see from the games and the innings, Tito, not just a specialist, a guy who can give Ron Washington an inning or more.
And he's been doing it from the beginning of the season.
Weekly hit to short, only play is to first, 2 down. As the runners advance.
And for a manager, what a nice piece to have in your bullpen, where it's a left-hander that actually gets right-handers out better than he gets left-handers.
He's got some nice little movement, a cutter, a slider, a changeup. And he commands the ball very well.
Second and third, 2 down. For Meiser is Torres, 1 for 3. Doubled and scored in his first at bat tonight. That's a foul ball. $42,160 here at Angel Stadium tonight. Enjoying the game so far and hoping to see their Angels take 2 out of 3 from Texas.
How was this place not sold out tonight?
Wasn't yesterday either. It was Friday. It's close tonight, just a couple thousand short.
Tito's pass list is not here.
It's a fun team to watch.
Yeah. It's a really fun team to watch. And the weather ain't bad.
Nope. And there's a lot of red in the house. They do pretty well in the concession stores here in Anaheim, especially since that Trout guy got called up. Can't keep his stuff on the shelves. Is Torres drilled on an 0-2 pitch.
I think this is definitely going to be a fastball in. It's a cutter in there. His hand comes around a little bit. I don't think he was trying to hit him on purpose. They just thought, make sure on an 0-2 pitch I'm not going to make a mistake to a right-handed hitter, and just pulled it a little too far. Got aggressive with it.
So the bases are loaded with 2 outs for Peter Borges. A 6-2 lead for the Angels. 3 runs across this inning. Back to the mound. And the inning is over. At the end of 7, the Angels now up by 4. Heart of the order, though, coming up for the Rangers in the 8th. Josh Hamilton due up second. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball is presented by Taco Bell. Sometimes you gotta live Mas. Big night for the Angels. Albert Pujols is homered and driven in 3. 6-2 Angels going to the top of the 8th inning. Mike Trout with the triple to begin the game for the Angels at the bottom of the first. Came in to score on a Pujols double. Nice job by Dan Haren. An overpowering 7th inning by Kevin Jepsen. And now veteran left-hander Scott Downs is into the game to work the 8th, facing Elvis Andrus, Josh Hamilton, and Adrian Beltre. Tito, you saw Downs a lot managing Boston when he was with Toronto. What makes him so effective?
Location. He actually used to throw harder. He's down a tick or 2 or 3, but he still locates all his pitches, and that's why he's so tough on lefties and righties.
And we're going to have a bit of delay. We're not going to show it to you, but somebody's jumped out of the stands and gone onto the field. Apparently had something a message that needed to be delivered to Mike Trout. And he has been apprehended and is being walked off the field. The numbers for Scott Downs. Downs and Frieri each had one kind of ugly outing against the Yankees last week. Downs gave up 4 runs in a game last week against the Yankees. Before that game, he had given up 1 run all season. You can give him the ball in the 7th, the 8th, the 9th. Line to right center field. It is down for a base hit and more for Andrus. A leadoff double for the Rangers shortstop.
Josh Hamilton, who's coming up to the plate, had a very hot April and May, but since then has really started to cool off, and a lot of the league has really learned that he is so aggressive that he doesn't need strikes. The 3 at-bats tonight, he has seen 8 pitches, 7 swings on the 8 pitches, and only 3 were really strikes. And what the league has found out also is that he is chasing a lot of balls away, and what they're doing is not even throwing them on the plate. They're making them look like they're away on the corner and running them off the plate. And that has really taken control of this whole slump. It's what started it.
Good curveball for a strike.
And that's part of the package of what makes him so valuable and so tough. He can spin his breaking ball over for a strike. He'll locate the 2-seamer down. He'll throw it just off the plate.
Swing and a miss at a curveball, 0-2. Thrown him 3 curves in a row. Just missed with that one.
In April and May, the league was pitching Josh Hamilton inside, thinking they didn't want him to extend his arms, and he was so hot he was going to win the Triple Crown. So the league said, let's try something new and let's go away. And as they started to go away, they started getting him out. And not only were they getting him out, but they started pitching him way away. And I'll be very surprised if the Angels come inside. If they do, it'll be off the plate.
Andrus the leadoff second. Nobody out in the 8th inning. Another one. And a swing and a miss to get him 1 down.
And this is what we're talking about as we watch this sequence. Starts him out with a breaking ball for a strike. Just a nice get me over strike. Then he starts expanding the zone. Farther away, and farther away.
That's a beautiful looking curveball. It's a low 3/4 angle, but he does a great job getting his fingers on top of the ball and then moving them to the front. So he not only gets the downward action, he gets that sweeping action.
And you got to figure Josh Hamilton at some point is thinking along with us, I'm going to see a fastball in. He's going to try to get me off the plate, and he never did.
Average down, power down, strikeouts up since the first couple of months for Hamilton. You knew he wouldn't sustain the kind of pace that he was on in April and May. Nobody can, but it has been quite a fall for him in recent weeks. Here's Adrian Beltre, 0 for 2 and a walk. The Rangers with just 4 hits in tonight's game, including the 2-run home run by Nelson Cruz back in the 5th. And again, they are the lowest scoring team in baseball in the month of July. Hard to believe. They got a big stretch coming, 10-game homestand against the Red Sox, the White Sox, and then the Angels.
I'm a little bit surprised with a 4-run lead that Howie Kendrick is paying Andrews that much attention.
A fly ball to left center field. Gorgeous. 2 down. And up in the Angels pen, right-hander Ernesto Frieri, whom they picked up in early May from San Diego. He has become their primary closer and has done an outstanding job. Meanwhile, up above in the Texas pen, right-hander Mike Adams is now working. If these two teams somehow should ever meet in the postseason, it'd be quite a series. As you know, Terry, you don't often see two teams from the same division meeting in the playoffs. You had it with the Yankees. Milwaukee and St. Louis had it last year. A roller up the middle that'll get past a diving Torres into center field. Andrews around third will come in to score. Michael Young with an RBI single at 6-3. And now here's Cruz. So Mike Scioscia's got Frieri up, but he's going to give Downs one more batter, and then with Murphy, a left-handed batter on deck, he'll probably give Downs 2 more batters to get this last out here in the 8th inning.
Or what they can do is wait for Ron Washington to pinch hit for Murphy, then make their move.
Yep.
Murphy's got 9 home runs, but all 9 are against right-hand pitching.
Cruz with his first home run in 22 games earlier tonight. His 12th of the season. Short lead by Young over at first. 2 down in the inning. And a ball and a strike to count on to Cruz. If Ron Washington is to pinch hit, in all likelihood it would be Craig Gentry. There he is, looking ready. Right-hand hitting outfielder, part-time player for the guy who has shown more with the bat this year than maybe even the Rangers expected. He's done a great job. So your pick is Murphy against Downs or Gentry against Frieri if Cruz gets on. Inning over. Well, they won't need to worry about it. A run in, but that's all. 6-3 going to the bottom of the 8th. Angels leading with Mike Trout due up. To the bottom of the 8th here in Anaheim, the hometown Angels with a 6-3 lead on their division rivals, the Texas Rangers, in the rubber match of this 3-game series. Dan Shulman, Terry Francona, Oral Hershiser, Buster Olney, and the outstanding Sunday Night Baseball crew. Happy to be bringing you the game here tonight as right-hander Mike Adams comes into the game. Now for the Rangers. And Adams having another good season. Not quite as dominant, overpowering a season as he had a year ago. But boy, he put up some crazy numbers a year ago. But still one of the most reliable really an 8th inning guy that you can find in baseball.
And when I was with Boston, we saw him when he was in San Diego in interleague play, and he was one of the more intriguing arms I had seen, because you kind of had a feeling San Diego might move him. And at that point, he was so dominant, it didn't matter if you were left-handed or right-handed. His stuff was electric.
Mike Trout on deck. Bobby Wilson, who homered his last time up, will lead it off for the Angels. So you're saying you picked up the phone and said, if that guy becomes available, get me that guy.
When you see somebody in a 3-game series, they come in maybe and pitch a game or two, and I think we saw him at his best, and it was really something to see. And he's probably down a tick this year. Again, he pitched deep into the postseason, but he's still good.
Wilson 2 for 3, an RBI single and that home run. First home run of the season. Adams with a fastball, a slider, and it looks like Oral is a right-handed batter. You'd have a tough time really picking up the release point on this guy.
Yeah, he has very deceptive delivery, and really when you talk about electric arm, it always, if the guy's dominant, it's coupled with good location, and he could dot the corner with anybody.
On the appeal, he didn't go. And a fly ball to left field, carrying over the head of Murphy and up into the seats on a bounce. What a night for Bobby Wilson. Single, a homer, and a double.
Not much production all year out of the catching position for the Angels. I'll tell you what, Wilson is having a night. Little cut fastball, trying to get out there, but really not very sharp, stayed up. Kind of a barrel hunter, that pitch. Wilson doesn't kill it, but he hits it right in the right spot. Gets himself a ground rule double.
The Angels looking to add to their lead here in the bottom of the 8th. A leadoff double, and here's Trout again. A triple, 2 walks, and a fly ball. And a liner roped into left field for a base hit. Wilson had to wait and see if it would carry right out to Murphy, so he'll stop at third.
That's that ambush you were talking about, Terry.
First pitch fastball, and now the dilemma for the Rangers. You have first and third. You can't give up any more runs. Mike Trout can probably run at whenever he wants.
First and third, nobody out for Torrey Hunter. And you got to believe Trout's going to be moving, and moving soon. Hunter 1 for 4, singled and scored his last time up. Dino Ebel, the third base coach, looking into Mike Scioscia, now relaying the signs to Wilson and Trout. Trout, by the way, this year is now hitting .441 against Texas, 15 for 34.
Put Napoli up against the Angels and Trout against the Rangers, the game would never end. They just keep getting hits. Napoli's what? He's hitting .414 or something? 500. He's hitting .500.
Not going. Ball one.
A little bit of a surprising defense by the Rangers. They're playing back for the double play. They're conceding a run at third base, which is a huge run at this point in the game.
Yeah, I think you're right. I thought they'd bring the infield in.
I did too. I thought they'd bring him in, concede the stolen base.
It's really
take
hard
their
to throw that anyway, yeah.
And let Adams try to strike guys out.
Yep. Trumbo waiting alongside Mike Scioscia for his opportunity this inning. Albert Pujols is on deck. 6-3 Angels, bottom 8. Adams in a jam. .31 steals on the season, caught only 3 times. So Ron Washington asking his guys to pay a lot of attention to Trout over there. 22 in a row since he was last called. It's down and into right field for a base hit. Hunter drives in Wilson. Trout to second, 7-3.
Whatever defense you play, that beats you. Infield in or back.
And we get a look here at Albert Pujols on a split screen, 2003 and 2012. On the left is 2003. Watch the leg kick and look at him get to extension, which is gorgeous. Now, 9 years later, watch the front foot. Because all he does is lift the heel, but he still gets to the same position. He just doesn't have the leg kick anymore. That was his way of making some adjustments as he got older and got some mileage on him so he could be quick enough to the ball.
Into shallow right field. Kinsler out, Cruz in, and Cruz will make the catch for the first out. Pujols now 2 for 5.
We'll get a look at this swing right here. He got a good pitch to hit. You can see the look of frustration. Look at how still his head is. His head never moved. So what he's doing is he's giving himself a chance. And watch this front foot. All it does is go up and down. Not too many hitters can do that and generate the power that he does.
He was just a little late on that swing, just a tad. The front side just didn't firm up there right before contact. Probably took the bat a little bit offline and makes him hang his head a little bit. The big boys had a good night.
A run in, 2 on, 1 out. Great atmosphere right now here in Anaheim. 42,000. Making all kinds of noises. One of their favorites, Mark Trumbo, comes up. Leading the league in slugging percentage on the season, over 600. And Adams is not convinced that Trout is staying put at second. And if you're going to steal, 1 out. Right-handed batter with the plate. Good time to go for third. Not moving, and it's ball 1.
You've got a base stealer at second base. Showing that inside move from the mound is always a good thing, because now they have to not only make sure you have a leg kick, but is the leg kick coming back to second, or are you going home?
And Kinsler doing everything he can. Staying right near second base, trying to keep Trout close.
during spring training when all the pitchers are going through their PFP, the fielding drills. Some of the guys laugh at it, some of them take it serious. The guys that take it serious save themselves runs because of situations like this.
You know, Oral, we'll sit up here and say, great base runner, great base stealer on, and the pitcher's attention is being divided between the hitter and the runner. Is that true? Is the hitter really at an advantage because of the speed of being out on the bases?
Yeah, because what you're trying to do is you're also trying to deliver the ball to home plate maybe a little quicker, and sometimes out of your comfort zone. It throws your mechanics off, so you might throw worse pitches. Your location might be off. You might hang the breaking ball. Might not be as sharp. What I always try to do as the pitcher is pay attention to the runner, but as I'm looking at the runner, in my mind's eye, I am delivering the pitch and picking up the target. So as my head turns towards home after it leaves the runner, I've already visualized what I was going to do when I go to pick it up at home plate. Instead of just staring at the runner and only worrying about him and then all of a sudden being surprised and going to the hitter, you can look at one thing and think about another.
And this crowd is booing, but that was a good move because they were going right there, both of them.
And there are times where you know you are just totally concentrating on the runner and not delivering the ball home. And there are no times you know you're going home, and as long as the runner doesn't do something stupid, you're thinking about the pitch.
Were there times as a pitching coach when you'd go out to the mound or say to the pitcher, that guy can only hurt you with one base, the guy at the plate can hurt you with 3 runs?
Depending on the score.
Yeah.
That man at second right now is crucial because you're down 4. Down 5 is just almost insurmountable. It seems like that already at 4, but that's an important run. We're not talking about the 3rd inning and 1 stolen base where there's a lot of game left.
Michael Young for 1 and back to first.
Wow.
Double play. 3-6-1 on the putout. Nicely done by the Rangers to get out of the inning with minimal damage. 1 run across as the Angels now lead 7-3. Could have been worse if not for the defense here by Texas. They've still got their work cut out for them, though. We're going to the top of the 9th here in Anaheim. The Angels lead 7-3. Back in Anaheim, Scott Downs is back on the mound, and Ron Washington left David Murphy to face him. Didn't bring in Craig Gentry. So Downs will face the first batter here in the 9th inning, and then likely Mike Scioscia will go to the pen for Ernesto Frieri. There's a strike at the knees, 1-1. Downs faced 5 batters, gave up a run in the 8th inning. Frieri warming in the 9th, waiting for his turn, which is going to be momentarily.
And this is not a bad situation for the Rangers right now. David Murphy's hitting .344 versus left-handers, just no power. But right now is all they need is him on base.
Reaching for the breaking ball, slow roller, third base side of the mound. Downs with a high throw. Murphy is safe. And here comes Mike Scioscia. So one way or another, David Murphy found a way to get on. Frieri is on his way in with a 4-run lead here in the 9th. Back here in Anaheim, Ernesto Frieri coming on, trying to secure the final 3 outs for the Angels in this 7-3 game. Hangar One Vodka, made here in California, is providing aerial coverage tonight from their very own blimp. 3 outs to go for the Angels to try to get a win and move within 5 of the Rangers for top spot in the AL West. David Murphy aboard on what was scored an error on Scott Downs.
Really?
Would I lie to you?
No, you didn't lie. I was just surprised at the call.
Leadoff man aboard for the Rangers. Downs out, Frieri, and picked up early May from San Diego for Alexi Amarista and Don Roach, a couple of minor leaguers. And look at the numbers. Frieri, one of these guys, strikes out a ton, can have some wildness. Tough to pick the ball up, eh, Tito, with that arm action?
Look at his arm action where he's releasing the ball. I mean, he's obviously got good velocity, but hitters do not pick it up, and it seems like it gets up on him in a hurry. Got a lot of late life. I mean, I don't think you teach pitchers this arm action, but it works. It works for him.
Not a safe situation for Frieri entering the game right now. Almost impossible to hit. Look at that. $103, 103 opponent's batting average. 26 1/3 consecutive scoreless innings to begin his Angels career. And as we mentioned last inning, 13 1/3 consecutive hitless innings to begin his Angels career. Murphy the lead at first. Nobody out, 9th inning. Awkward looking swing from Napoli, 2-2.
You're right there, Dan. He didn't have his balance, and he wasn't started on time at all. It looked very awkward.
Finding that release point is critical to a hitter.
The longer you get to look at it, obviously the more you can stay back and you can swing at better pitches.
He's got his knees and his foot kind of a little strange action with the delivery, and then he kind of spikes the ball down, lengthens his arm, and then comes at you kind of sidewinder, and then the follow through of the leg actually kind of goes on the same arm angle that he came out of. The exhaust of the back leg coming through.
One down.
And that's the first ball he really threw in.
As soon as this ball game is done here in Anaheim, it'll be SportsCenter coming your way on ESPN. Top story, of course, will be the British Open, as Ernie Els wins it today.
He came from 6 strokes down.
Adam Scott bogeying the last 4 holes.
Yep. And I'm not sure he had made many bogeys in the whole tournament until those 4, if any.
Also a look around baseball today. Sweeps by so many teams, so many contenders. The Reds and Pirates and Cardinals and Dodgers. All completing sweeps. And the A's and Tigers, Blue Jays, Orioles all doing the same in the American League.
Sweeps week?
Yeah. It was sweeps weekend, that's for sure. Torrealba 0 for 3. Runner is going. Pitch popped up down the right side, and this will get back out of play. Seven to 3, the Angels lead. Albert Pujols has had a big night. He's doubled, homered, and driven in 3. Mike Trout's got 2 hits, 2 walks tonight. Dan Haren did a nice job coming off the DL. 6 innings, 2 runs. A team effort for the Angels tonight. Murphy goes again. 2-2. Now the count on Torrealba. Should be defensive indifference for Murphy taking second. And Mike Scioscia saying to Paul Lennell again, "Where's that? Outside? Are you kidding me?" or something to that effect. You're not going to start now, Mike. They went at it in the first inning tonight. And now Mike Scioscia's giving them what for again here in the 9th. Pretty tough competitor, your old battery mate, huh?
He's pretty good at barking and not getting kicked out. Kind of like Terry was.
Full count.
Knows when just enough.
He and after he barked in the first inning, he went out in between innings.
Yeah.
And probably made friends a little bit, but probably got his point across.
Yeah, he went from arguing to ambassador.
Ball 4. Two on with the 1 out. Tonight, Chevrolet player of the game. First baseman Albert Pujols doubled in a run in the first. Later on in the game, hit a 2-run homer, his 18th of the season, now up to 60 RBIs. And the Angels needed those 3 runs they got on the bottom of the 7th. The Rangers starting to make it interesting here in the 9th.
And don't you just think the Rangers just want to get the tying run to the plate and have it be Josh Hamilton?
Could happen. Here's Kinsler. Hamilton is now 2 spots away.
That Wilson run in the last inning was a little double down the line. Wasn't hit that hard, just found a hole.
Mike Butcher, the pitching coach, on his way out. Hamilton 0 for 4 with a couple of strikeouts tonight. Struggling over the last couple of weeks, really over the last couple of months, but even more so recently. Hoping for an opportunity to do some damage here in the 9th inning against Frieri. And he might be happiest to just see a 95-mile-an-hour fastball after some of the stuff he's seen earlier tonight.
He will be swinging. within the first 2 pitches. If he gets up there, has a chance.
Ball 2, and this can be Frieri's undoing. Hardly anybody ever hits him, but he can give you the free pass more than they would like.
And I think this is why he became available from San Diego, is just for this particular reason.
Ball 3.
Bouts of wildness that they could not tolerate, and saw some value in a trade, and the change of location to the Angels got him on track, but this is what you're dealing with sometimes.
We're going to see somebody get up in a hurry.
Jason Isringhausen is getting up in the pen. 300 saves in his career, but his days as a closer really have been over for the most part for a while. He was up in the 6th inning earlier tonight, but he might get a shot if Frieri continues to struggle. And the bases are loaded, and the tying run will come to the plate.
Number 1.
Elvis Andrus.
Not the easiest guy in the world to double up, so Hamilton still may get his shot even if they get an out here.
A nervous 9th here for the Angels. A 4-run lead. And a strike. Driven to deep center. Borges back. Makes the catch. A run will score. Another runner will advance, but that's a trade that the Angels will make every time. Sac fly. RBI. 7-4. 2 down. Tying run will come to the plate. And it's Josh Hamilton. A couple of groundouts and a couple of strikeouts. He's faced Frieri twice, 0 for 2, has struck out both times. Way outside, ball 1.
And I know that ball was off the plate, but it looked like he was taken all the way.
Brad getting back into it now, trying to help out Frieri. Outside, ball 2. Now they're turning on Frieri. Either that or they're turning on Paul Emmel, but that ball was definitely outside.
Very deep in the outfield, trying to keep batter runner off second base. That's Hamilton.
Big swing and a miss, 2-1.
Well, what a difference we're seeing a guy now as opposed to what we saw early in the year. We've seen a lot of swing and misses tonight.
Frieri not messing around at all. Just fastball after fastball to these Rangers hitters.
2-pitch guy, just fastball and slider, but he has yet to throw the slider to Hamilton. 5 fastballs in a row.
Rangers down to their last out. Tying run at the plate. Full count. Kinsler will be running from first. Frieri strikes out Hamilton to win the ball game, and the Angels hang on to win 7-4 and take 2 out of 3 from Texas in this series, moving within 5 of the Rangers for top spot in the American League West and moving back to the sole possession of the lead in the American League wild card race. They're going to meet again next week, starting a week from tomorrow, 4-game series in Arlington. Rangers, by the way, on ESPN again tomorrow night as they host the Boston Red Sox. The final from Anaheim. The Angels 7 and the Rangers 4. Sports Center is next here on ESPN. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For Oral, Terry, and Buster, I'm Dan Shulman saying thanks for watching and so long from Anaheim.